They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Yes, Russell Wilson got released by the Denver Broncos yesterday. Welcome to the show, Maggie. Great, Andrew Perloff. But Perloff, while we're talking about Russ and his career being on this downturn, can we spare a thought for just how terribly run an organization the Denver Broncos are right now? Russ is going to get the lion's share of the coverage, and he's going to be the focal point of the conversation. But geez, it's not like the Broncos have been hitting home runs lately with this front office. This is just the latest embarrassment.
Well, you could say that, but there's a lot of change going on with Denver. Sean Payton's only had 1 year,
sure,
and the ownership group's only really been there for 2 years. I don't know why George Payton, the GM, is still there, but he's not going to be there forever. This is what happens. You have to get really bad to get really good, Maggie. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
I don't think that's the plan, though. I don't think their plan was to get really bad to get really good. I think they came in trying to compete,
yes,
and they're going to try to do the same thing again. I don't know if they're going to bottom out because all the rumors coming out of the combine is that they're trying like hell to trade up to get a quarterback. So that's more assets, more draft picks invested in what? You're going to trade up and have no idea who's going to be still available on the board unless you're getting all the way up to 2.
Well, a lot of people think this is a good year to take a quarterback. It's going to get a lot worse next year. You never know from year to year with quarterback classes, but it seems like a smart year to take a quarterback. And then you have a rookie quarterback on a manageable salary cap, and then you can really do some rebuilding. I think, I hate to say Denver's, it's a little bit of the process going on right now because they know that Russell Wilson is going to clog up their salary cap for the next 2 years. But the numbers are insane.
The highest dead cap hit in the history of the sport.
Right. So they know.
that hamstrings you.
I got bad news for Denver. This is a rebuild. Now, the one thing I totally agree with you, I don't know why this GM gets to do the rebuild. He's had nothing but mistake after mistake. But I still think Sean Payton is a good coach with the right personnel, and they have the richest owners in all professional sports. Eventually, at some point, they're going to be able to buy some good front office people. Why they're letting these guys stick around? I think Denver's going to be really bad this year, but I think things are going to turn around. And what's wrong? I don't know what you have to give out to trade up. This is a year to draft a quarterback. There's a lot of guys.
There are, but I ask you this, and we're talking about the Denver Broncos. Should they be just as to blame, the team, as Russell Wilson for how this marriage failed so spectacularly? And I think they are. Here's the question, though. Would you rather have, the 5th pick of quarterbacks in like a quarterback deep draft, or would you rather have the 1st pick of quarterbacks in one that's not so deep?
It's hard to get all the way up to 1st, so you can't guarantee that. That means
you're saying they should bottom out like that.
But even bottoming out, I mean, this is a league that has the Carolina Panthers in it. There's
still
even if you bottom out, EJ's New York Jets. I mean, it's really hard to get all the way up to number 1.
That's true.
And yes, I think the fifth quarterback in this year's class could be even better than the 2nd and 3rd quarterback. I think Caleb Williams is a 1 guarantee, but after that, I have no problem with the 5th quarterback in this year's class.
So the Denver Broncos pick 12th, okay? So if you think that this draft is likely going quarterback 1, 2, 3, so that's just 1, 2, 3. Then you have Arizona and the Chargers, who we believe are open for business. At least that's been the rumor.
Right, for a trade.
For a trade. And then you have quarterback-needy teams like the Giants, maybe the Atlanta Falcons, and Minnesota in front of Denver, and then Las Vegas right behind them. You have a lot of competition. Even if there's a lot of quarterbacks, there's a lot of competition. And let's talk process, because I don't love when a team is trading up and you're going to have to trade assets to get up in this very competitive marketplace to get a quarterback in the draft. I don't like teams that trade up and really don't know who they're going to get. Can't guarantee themselves, hey, if I get up to 6 or 5, rather, with the Chargers, I'm not 100% sure who's still on the board for me. So maybe that works out like it did for the Chargers. Hey, Tua, Justin Herbert, either or we'll take. But oftentimes that doesn't work out. Yeah,
that sounds like a hypothetical right now to me, though. I understand what you're saying. First of all,
and Jarrett Stidham could be the quarterback, too.
I know. There are a lot of people who might want to trade up to that 4 or 5 spot, so there's going to be competition there. Do you agree with me a little bit, though? Say J.J. McCarthy goes 4 or 5, the Michigan quarterback, which seems to be what's coming out of the combine. It seems nuts to me.
It seems really
Would you be more excited to get Bo Nix or Michael Penix at 12 than J.J. McCarthy at 4? So just do that.
Okay, but I don't know if anyone's going to be left at 12. I mean, maybe that's a little scare tactic, spooks, whatever. But it doesn't matter because, again, I'd say the process is flawed. And that's where I really have a problem with the Denver Broncos and how they've been run over the past few years. Because you had, clearly they were going for Aaron Rodgers, right?
And they screwed up.
So what did they do? double down on Russ, trade multiple first-round picks and players for Russ, pair him with Nathaniel Hackett. Okay, Hackett's the worst coach of all time. Get rid of Hackett, trade a first-rounder and a second-round pick for Sean Payton. Then you're paying him $18 million a year to preside over a rebuild. Now you have to release Russell Wilson because he's not a fit. So what could be the next scenario? Trading away more draft capital to try to trade up and get a quarterback? You just keep paper macheing and duct taping over all these bad decisions that you've made. You're digging the hole even deeper. Not to mention, the $500 million they spent in free agency last year for multiple linemen.
I feel like you're Monday morning quarterbacking this a little bit. Did you know that Russell was going to be such a disaster there? Did you know that Sean Payton was going to be not good? Maybe you did, but I'm just saying, I feel like a lot of people are, yes, it's easy to see now that Russell Wilson was a complete failure, but a lot of people had the Broncos in the Super Bowl that year.
Well, we had just come off of Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady switching teams and winning Super Bowls, and it's like, well, we hold Russ in that high of a regard, so why wouldn't we think he can come and do the same thing? Right. But again, process flawed. You wanted one guy at Aaron Rodgers, and you made moves in your organization for Rodgers to come in. And then when you didn't get him, not just the Russ trade and how much you gave up, but who was telling you to give Russ $250 million?
I mean, the market, Deshaun Watson went for a very similar thing.
And who's going to follow the Browns' lead on anything? You go straight down the tubes.
Free agent quarterbacks were making a lot of money. Yeah, I just feel like it's easy to say now. That's all I'm saying. Like, I did not know Russell was going to be that bad when he got there. I was excited for that team. I didn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl, but I thought they'd be a playoff team. I think the spectacularness of how much it's fallen apart was very unpredictable.
Well, the other part, even if, yes, I mean, we're high on Russ, right? And that failed. Turns out Aaron Rodgers has terrible taste in offensive coordinators. You shouldn't listen to him at all. But the other part then, the coach. We did say this at the time, which was, man, this coaching thing with Sean Payton does seem a little fishy, right? Because
you said that. Yeah,
we're talking about the Denver Broncos, and they released Russell Wilson yesterday. So who's at fault here? Should the Broncos have to wear as much blame as Russ? And I think yes, and Perloff wants to give them the benefit of the doubt more. So I think the thing about Sean is it's like everyone on the outside wanted this to happen, right? Mm-hmm. You fail so spectacular with Nathaniel Hackett. He's going for it on 64-yard field goals. This is a mess. So let's get some stability here. Let's bring Sean Payton in. But it was a steep cost with a first-round pick and a second-round pick. And now he's in there, and it almost felt like shoving a square peg into a round hole. Like, think about this. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton's in the broadcast booth, and it was widely reported, and he never debunked this, that one of the criteria of the next place he was going to coach was good weather to golf in. Guys, what good weather to golf in? That's the last thing you want to hear from the coach. And then you're paying him $18 million. He put his foot in his mouth the moment he got in the door. It set this weird vibe. It was like pointing the finger at everyone else. They had a terrible season, and now they're going to try to, again, make up for it, maybe by trading up for a quarterback. I just don't see how any Bronco fan feels good about this.
Well, they're going to be, according to Vegas, they're going to be the fourth worst team in the league next year. So they probably go, depending on the quarterback situation, probably go 5-12 this year. I mean, Broncos fans have to know what's going on. This is what's called a rebuild.
Right. This is not what was sold to them, though. And so they have a right to be upset.
But what was sold last year, this year, they're being sold a rebuild. I mean, there's no other way. What Bronco fan could be upset? Who's your quarterback?
Well, that's the thing. Like, yes, you were sold something totally different last year. Now they're turning the tables on you. And I think they're trying to trade up for a quarterback to salvage some of this. Like, hey, shiny new toy, everybody. We got J.J. McCarthy in the building. We got Bo Nix in the building, whatever it's going to be.
I think fans have to be realistic here. This team is not even close to being ready to win. And I think last year, Sean Payton, maybe he didn't realize he took over a terrible roster because, I knew this roster because it was the bones of the roster that Case Keenum failed with in 2018. And
Case is a dear friend of
Yes, and these are just not winning players, and they always get hurt too. That's the other thing. So even if you do have good guys there, the entire team was on the IR in 2022, and then 23. Nothing really went right. I just don't like this roster. I think you need to really clear it out. I'd go full process if I was them. If you're a Bronco fan and you're going to be upset at 5-12, that's how this thing works. I think they're okay because they have this crazy rich ownership group. Yeah. And I'm sorry, eventually money wins.
Jerry's got a lot of money and he hasn't won.
Well, he's gone 12-5 every year. So, eventually money gets you to the playoffs at least. I think that they have a lot of wiggle room because of that Walton money. So they can afford to make mistakes. I don't know why George Payton's still there, but he's not going to be there forever. At a certain point, they're gonna hit on some formula to bring the Broncos back.
Okay, but how long are we talking,
We're talking
here?
maybe 3, 4, 5 years.
Okay. I just wonder if Sean Payton's going to stick around for a lot of
I
losing.
might not be with Sean Payton. But
again, but you traded first round and second round picks for him.
Yeah, I mean, you're too focused on the recent past.
I'm too focused on what they've done.
Yeah, right now they were an 8-9 team who's expected to win 4 games next year. It's obviously not going well. No. But you have to understand that's what happens with teams. They get really bad, and then they maybe get really good. And they could. I think you're underestimating this quarterback class a little bit. I think this is going to be a killer quarterback class. If you get the 5th quarterback in this class, he could be a Pro Bowler easily.
I know, but I remember that with the 2018 quarterback class. We're like, this is a killer class, and it's got all this depth, and like half of those guys didn't really work out. I know Baker Mayfield's on the verge of another big contract, but like half of those guys didn't work out.
So half is a pretty good percentage. So you're telling me 50% of them did work out?
Okay, but if you're picking 12th, that's it. You're adding a level of difficulty there. Another layer. It's not like you have your pick and you can say, hey, I'm just going on the best evaluation. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
You get 2 MVPs in that draft, a quarterback. That's one of the great quarterbacks. I'm looking at it now. That's Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Baker Mayfield's pretty good.
Wait, who else won it? Oh, just Lamar's 2 MVPs?
2 MVPs, and Josh Allen's a MVP level player. Okay. I'm giving him that. That's pretty good. This is a pretty good class. If you could, what if they get
Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold?
Yeah, there was some bust. But hey, if you're rolling the dice 50-50 on this quarterback class, EJ and I have a show bet you missed yesterday, Maggie.
Yeah, tell me.
4.5 quarterbacks in the first round. I think this could be an all-time quarterback class. The most ever is 6 in 1983, that famous Elway draft. I think this is a really, really good quarterback draft, and I get overly excited about these guys. I think the 5th quarterback in this class could be a Pro Bowler. I don't know if he's going in the first round, but listen, teams don't always know what they're doing here. Probably Will Levis fell a little farther than he should have last year. He could be really good. There's a lot of good quarterbacks. There's a lot of good receivers too, and a lot of good left tackles. So maybe I lose this bet. But I think I think Bo Nix could be good. I think if they get him, if I'm running the Broncos, just stick at 12, get a rookie quarterback like Bo Nix, and just be patient. Can you be patient, Maggie?
No, definitely not, because the Broncos didn't sell me on patience. They sold me on superstars.
Yeah, but that's long gone. That's ancient history.
He's a superstar coach.
His quarterback might be Jarrett Stidham next year,
who he signed on the first day of free agency last year. He's paying
$7 million. Is that superstar?
How about the $50+ million they gave to 2 offensive linemen each, and then another 50 to a defensive lineman last year? That's with Sean Payton in the building, and they didn't work out well. I mean, this is to me a question I think we should put on social media at Maggie and Pearl. Who do you blame for? I don't even put this. So Russell Wilson breakup. Is it more on Russ or is it more on the team? I think it's more on the team.
For the Broncos collapse, really.
Broncos collapse, sure. If we think they're going to be the 4th worst team in the NFL next year, or that's what Vegas says, I think this counts as a collapse. That's
for sure.
A good way to put it.
I call it a rebuild.
By the way, I do have a thought on y'all's bet that I missed yesterday. Thank you guys, did a fantastic job. The show sounded awesome from what I was able to catch. Sounded amazing. But I do have a thought on your bet. Can I do that next? The 4.5 quarterbacks going in the first round.
Yes.
There's one person who I totally side with.
By the way, we were debating yesterday, is there such thing as a half a quarterback? Remember when Bill Polian thought Lamar Jackson was a running back?
Is Lamar half a quarterback?
Yeah.
Or Taysom Hill back in this draft?
Yeah, Taysom Hill. Remember
He's probably the closest.
Logan Thomas, the former Virginia Tech quarterback who just retired, turned tight end.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see, it looked like the commander, it looked like he died. Did you see that tweet they put out?
Yeah, I did.
It was like smoke around his body, and it was like, thank you for the memories. And I was like, oh my God, what happened to Logan Thomas?
Were there doves flying out of there?
Yeah, and I have some family who are Commander fans, and I was like, did you see this? He's like, yeah, I was very nervous too. I didn't know what happened.
By the way, what if 4 quarterbacks go, then there's a wide receiver who played quarterback in high school, and I try and finesse that into a half a quarterback to get a push?
There are a couple wide receivers who throw a real pretty ball.
Oh, in this year's draft?
No, I'm just saying in general. Like Odell Beckham can throw a really nice.
I feel like a lot of receivers, for some reason, throw great balls.
Obviously, like, was it Mohamed Sanu, I think, who threw it really
nice. All these players played quarterback in high school because the best player plays quarterback. So I'm going to try and cheat on this if it's under. But I think I'm going to win, so I'm okay.
855-212-4CBS. All right, so we got the Broncos here to start things off. They released Russell Wilson yesterday. 11-18, his record. $250 million just doesn't buy you what it used to. They are going to take an all-time dead cap hit, and now what? Now they're projected to have 4 or 5 wins next year. How did things fall so spectacularly for the Denver Broncos? I blame the front office. 855-212-4CBS. Perloff says this is just the natural cycle of things. The rebuild.
It's called the process, Maggie.
Thank you. Coming up, I've got a great story for Perloff. We'll get to that. And I have a thought on Perloff and EJ's new show bet. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Great having you back, Maggie. So yesterday, I think EJ and I made probably a foolish bet. 4.5 quarterbacks is the over-under in the first round.
Yep.
EJ says 4 or less quarterbacks go. I say 5 or more go. And the loser has to run gassers with Pete Bellotti holding the whistle, torturing us
oh
at
my
his will.
gosh. Pete, that is a power. I'm expecting you to be putting your fingers together like, wahaha. You got a lot of power on this bet.
Get running.
They're going to be puking.
But how fast do we have to go? Because I cannot run very fast.
Fast.
Is this on a football field or in a gym?
EJ picked out a field even.
Yeah, there's a field. There's like a baseball soccer field, block away, a couple blocks away.
Yeah, pier, whatever.
Yeah, which is probably about a good 70, 80 yards. Close enough.
I think you guys are going to be out of breath just walking in the field.
I know.
Let alone running the gas.
It's also on turf, so I'm a little worried about the Achilles and ACL.
Oh, boy.
Oh, it's not at the Meadowlands.
Take it up with the union. Well, I can't wait to be there to watch this.
Yeah, this will be kind of a fun one to pay off, but I really am rooting for. I'm going to call front office and say, you got to take a 5th quarterback.
Wait, Perloff, you realize you're going to look like Jim Carrey in, what's the movie, Cable Guy, when he's running the suicide sprints? What do they call them? The gassers, yeah. He's like running the, to get ready for the pickup game.
Oh, yeah. With the headband?
Yeah, the headband.
But we were talking, you can't say suicides anymore.
I'm sorry. I meant gasser, yeah.
Gasser, EJ says gasser is just a 100-yard dash straight.
Okay,
and then you run back.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, down and back are gassers. So what do you call the ones? So we used to do this in tennis where you'd have to do every line.
Yeah, those are the S words that we don't call that anymore.
Right, so we need
I learned yesterday. I didn't know either.
We need a new name for them.
It has a name.
Heartbreakers.
Annoying running.
Yeah.
By the way, EJ, were you like me where you pretend to touch the line, but you sort of don't touch the line?
Oh, and people like Pete or like counselors or whoever, like people were coaching
Whoever
you.
has a whistle in there.
Yeah, just touch that line. Better touch that line. We're all running them again.
Well, I always hated it because the star on the team, which was never me, always got to never touch the line. And I'm like, the star is not touching the line. What happened to him setting the tone for the team?
Clearly not by example. Must have been more of a rah-rah
Right, but if I
guy.
don't touch the line, he's like, oh, you got to start over.
So I got to say, I'm firmly with Perloff on this one, EJ.
Ooh,
I'm sorry.
yes.
You and I are very much aligned on a lot of things, including a big bet that's going to be paid off soon that you and I are going to look ridiculous doing. We'll talk about that later. I just don't know how. So you think that what is a red flag or a red herring?
I think
JJ McCarthy or the Bo Nix? Because we know 3 are going.
Definitely
Caleb,
the Knicks.
Yeah.
Okay.
McCarthy, I mean, look, I don't get the McCarthy love, but that's not for me to get. So okay, he's going first round. I'll accept that. So you got 4 there.
Right.
I think the Knicks, there's going to be question marks about what was last season, how real was that, given what we've seen for most of his career. And I think Penix will be a medical red flag.
I think Penix is not going to be in there, and I don't think he's getting invited. I hope they don't invite him to the draft because I don't want to watch him in the green room and have that whole thing where he's, the picks are flying off the board and he's sitting there.
I mean, I understand. Teams might not want Michael Penix because he's going to get a ton of yards. He's going to throw a lot of touchdowns, and he's going to put a lot of pressure on the defense because he'll score immediately and maybe have 35 touchdowns as a rookie. Why would you not draft Michael Penix? He's so much better than all of these guys.
I get it, and he stayed healthy pretty healthy the last 2 years where he's not like missing games.
He came out of the combine with very clean medicals. That's what everybody said. And also, technology has helped so much with knees now. He's going to be fine.
That's true. I think it's hard to overcome in a lot of a lot of people's minds. I think it's hard to overcome like a legit injury history, which he has. But I'm still with you on the bet because I think it's obviously Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, whatever, order. And I think J.J. McCarthy is getting in, and I think Bo Nix is getting in the first round.
I just need one of the X's. I need Penix or Bo Nix.
And, you need Michigan or Pennsylvania.
All right, X-Man.
So we had Ryan Wilson, CBS Sports yesterday. He put out a mock draft after the show and only had 4, which made me nervous. He didn't have Nix. So Nix could be like Will Levis and fall to the top of the second round. But then Adam Schefter said yesterday on his podcast he said maybe 6.
Okay.
The thing that scares me, I think it's going to be a solid 4. The thing that scares me, which is why I think 4.5 is such a diabolical line, is I'm afraid that one of these teams is going to trade back into the first round for the last pick, similar to the Ravens or one of those other teams like they did with Lamar.
Right.
Say, hey, we want to get that 5th-year option, so we'll take this guy even though we're not going to start him. That's the thing that, I am anticipating, but I'm ignoring for the sake of me thinking I'm going to win this bet.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that I think that if something kills me, it's going to be that.
Yeah, you're worried about the backdoor cover.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
That's the definition.
Listen, if anyone wants to get down with a little Michael Pratt, Spencer Rattler conversation, I'm down with that.
Those guys aren't
too.
making it in the first round.
You never know. There's going to be a moment where some draft insider in March is going to be like, oh, I love Michael Pratt's tape at Tulane. Let's go. Or whatever. I'm just telling you, quarterbacks, you know how quarterbacks work, Maggie. There's insanity around them, and people get excited, and who knows?
No, I feel you. That's why I'm with you on the over 4.5. But I do think that Penix is the one who ends up sliding.
The Levis thing last year really made me feel that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Because that taught me a lot. There was no way I thought that guy was going to be a first-round pick.
And you were right.
Malik Willis a couple of years ago taught me a lot.
That was another one.
Yeah, I thought he was going in the first round just because he was considered maybe the top prospect.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got headlines. Are you going to call play-by-play on this bet whenever EJ and Perloff pay off the Gassers bet? I think you're going to have to do some play-by-play.
Yeah, you can talk to my friend Pete. He's my agent. He knows my fees and my rider and whatnot.
Okay.
That's right. Exactly.
A little bowl of M&Ms there.
Have you ever actually called 2 slow men running?
In a different sport, not in a straight race.
Yeah.
But yeah. Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. Call or click today and find out if you can save hundreds on your car insurance. Now, our beloved Pete was a man on an island for a while. He thought EA Sports was shortchanging college football players who okayed the use of their name, image, and likeness in its upcoming video game. Just $600 and a copy of the game, but the actual players did not object, with over 10,000 of them gleefully accepting that cash and the game to be in the game.
Let's
the
go.
list includes Colorado's Travis Hunter, Georgia's Carson Beck, and Alabama's Jalen Milroe. But then, out of nowhere, Pete found a friend.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Arch Manning, son of Cooper, nephew of Peyton and Eli, reportedly saying no thank you for now to EA Sports. It doesn't appear either that young Archibald is holding out for a better deal. He just wants to focus on the upcoming season as if he doesn't understand how this works. You literally don't need to do anything except check a box. He doesn't live in the game. He doesn't have to play when me or EJ play as him this summer. So I don't understand the logic of I want to focus on the season. This takes 0 time to say yes. So maybe we are angling for more money for Arch to be in the game.
Yeah, Arch has other NIL, though, doesn't he?
And he has the Manning fortune.
Right. I wouldn't surprise he's creating his own game. Maybe you just play with Mannings. That's all you have.
Peyton, Eli, get your nephew, okay? Get your nephew. This is ridiculous behavior.
Is that because he's not starting? Is he trying to be classy, be like, I'm just a backup, I don't deserve to be there?
Which
Is it
makes
one of those
makes
things?
this more stupid. Like, he made this a thing. Like, no one cares that the backup quarterback is not going to be in a game for, like, this report to come out. And then for him to say, let me go to a reporter and let them know that I'm not going to be in the game because I'm too into football. Like Travis Hunter and all these other guys aren't focused on football for simply signing away their rights to be in a video game. Like, come on, man.
I think it's his business people are like, let's wait this out for a year because So I was looking up whether Shador is going to be in the game, and it looks like he might be on the cover.
Yeah,
I think he will be. That's
Right.
I thought they already announced he was the cover, right?
Right.
No,
So
not yet.
Not yet, but
I
it's
saw a
trending
bunch of
that way.
images, yeah.
Right. So I'm wondering if Arch, if this is his business people, maybe not him, kind of saying, hey, we can make this even bigger next year if not only do I return, but next year I'm the cover.
Build anticipation. That's
Something like
smart
that.
business.
I've heard that too. And to his credit, I've seen some reporters make the point that, hey, he may feel like if I go in the game and my rating becomes a story because I'm closely rated to Quinn Ewers, or the word gets out that everybody's benching Quinn Ewers to put me in the game, that may become
Distraction.
a storyline, which I'm just like, I don't know, man. Michael Vick was a freshman at Virginia Tech. Whoever the quarterback was, we always took him out and put Michael Vick in, and Virginia Tech was fine. Like, it wasn't an issue.
Different world.
And isn't there still going to be an Arch Manning, not named Arch Manning, as QB2 in Texas?
So that's the question. The word is they're going to make it almost impossible for you to make an Arch Manning. Like, unlike the game previously where there would just be a guy with the number 12.
Yeah, Sarge Manning.
Yeah, right.
Sarge Manning.
Put in the name Arch Manning, he has all the same attributes.
Right.
It sounds like this year they're going to more extreme lengths to make that not possible. So it sounds like he's really not going to be in the game.
Does anyone else have an issue with EJ absolutely destroying with vigor an 18-year-old kid over because of his own personal needs to have him in the
He's
video
a
game?
Manning.
I feel like this is misplaced rage against somebody. He's 18.
He's a Manning. He's an adult. Okay. Come on,
and he has
man.
adults making the decision around him, too.
Yeah, I don't think Arch touched this one. I think he's like, whatever you say.
I think I wouldn't have had any issue if I didn't hear I need to focus on football.
Right.
What is that?
Well, he
what are
doesn't
you
need-
talking about?
He doesn't need angry emails from people like you saying you screwed me over yesterday when you lost a game to Shador or something.
Arch has an email address. It feels
I
kind
don't know.
of
Angry
old
emails.
school.
Texas.edu.
Probably DMs.
Yeah,
How,
I mean,
how would I
people
get
are calling
in touch
his
with Arch Manning?
People are calling his landline and saying, "Arch just screwed me over here. You missed that pass."
What else we got, Bogus?
In non-Russell Wilson NFL news, the Chiefs have placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on corner L'Jarius Sneed. He can negotiate with other teams, and those talks apparently legit. The assumption remains Sneed could very well be traded this spring instead of remaining in KC. At the very least, the Lakers know how to beat the Thunder.
Here's Russell on the left wing.
LeBron wants him to shoot.
He does. Good again! Falling down backwards. D'Angelo Russell's hit 3 consecutive threes. Timeout, OKC.
That's John Ireland on Lakers Radio. Russell hit 5 threes total, scored 26 in a 116-104 Laker home win. They are the first team this season to beat OKC 3 times. How come, Mark Dagnall?
We're really not focused on like regular season series. We're trying to play the game in front of us and stack those up over the course of the season, and wherever that lands us, that lands us.
Never mind then. The T-Wolves.
Wow. And that concludes our coverage of
The
Thunder
Thunder
coach.
Lakers head-to-head. That rivalry is not happening.
Yeah, wow.
The
Put a
T-Wolves
pot on that boiling water.
top the Blazers 119-114 to retake first in the West from the Thunder. And the BUCS rallied past the Clippers 113-106. Damian Lillard scored 41, while Giannis sat out with left Achilles tendonitis.
Yeah, we're not making a big deal about that at all. Left Achilles tendonitis?
It's called fake, Maggie.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, no.
They
Did
better
you see the
hope that's
video?
not real.
No,
Oh.
this is not fake. This is.
tendonitis.
Did you see the video of him trying to practice?
No.
He pulled up lame.
I was like, man, we're not really talking about this. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know normally we say all these injuries. I'm actually a little concerned. Like, seeing that video was not. If I was a Bucs fan, that would scare me.
I gotta look at this video.
It's not good.
Well, why is he listed as
Warning the Bucs
tendonitis
fan.
then? Did he tear his Achilles?
Well, I think he has some. He may have a
Strained it,
strain or
maybe.
something. Like he tried to make a move in practice and like warm ups, and like he pulled up and he was limping.
Ooh.
It was not good.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like we're not making a big deal about this. Maybe it is just an elaborate scheme so
I've
that
just
he
been-
can sit for a week.
I'm just so used to left calf contusions for LeBron, and then he shows up perfectly healthy the next day that I have trouble buying any NBA injury.
It's just like a windmill dunk with LeBron on the injury report.
What about that left calf contusion?
as he's flying through the air? I'm sorry, Bogusch, back to you.
Men's college hoops, number 11, Baylor was down 11, 13 minutes left, went on a 21-2 run and beat Texas 93-85. Jalen Bridges scoring a career-high 32. One-time AL MVP Josh Donaldson's retiring. 13 seasons, 3 other top 10 MVP finishes for him in the Colorado Avalanche, a 5-0 beating of Pearl's favorite, Connor Bedard in Chicago. Nathan McKinnon, 2 goals, 2 assists. So he now has a point in all 30 home games this season. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, we got some big news as one team running it back. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So, Perloff, I know that this news that came out yesterday had to make your skin just like, I don't want to say crawl a little bit, but
What's that?
I know how you feel about aging wide receivers.
Oh.
Perloff basically thinks they should be taken behind the woodshed.
Okay.
The moment you turn 29 and a half. Just that's it. Because the moment you turn 30 means you are ready for the old folks home, and we should just put you out to pasture. So yesterday, Mike Evans, who's 31, signed a 2-year, $52 million deal to stay with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now the next step logically seems sign Baker Mayfield and run this thing back.
So that was all about Baker Mayfield. Here's the thing. 2 years, $52 million. Sounds like a lot of money, but that is a very short-term commitment to Mike Evans. So you did not destroy yourselves with an old receiver here. You're not paying that much. I like anything short-term I'm fine with. For example, Daniel Jones and the Giants is a disaster, but at least it's only 2 years.
Right.
So I understood this. This was to get Baker Mayfield. Now, you might ask yourself, where are the Bucs going? What's the goal here? Is the goal just to maybe have another NFC South title at 9-8?
Well, they won a playoff game this year.
Yeah, but it doesn't really feel like they're building a Super Bowl team. They're building an okay team. You actually still have the bones of that Super Bowl team. You still have some of those guys, but they're going to start to age out, and you're going to have 1 or 2 more good years. You're right. Generally, I don't like old receivers. I think you were setting up, okay, maybe we get a playoff run or 2 in the next 2 years, but at a certain point, the Bucs are going to have to totally rebuild, right? Like you can't just keep on having some of the guys left over from 2020.
No, but I guess you're trying to get a little bit more out of this last tail end of whatever this era is going to be, right? So you're basically signing this deal with Mike Evans. In theory, you make him a buck for life. It's the largest deal for a wide receiver this old on a third contract. I don't know who thinks this is going to go great. But the other part of this is do you really need to be courting Baker in this kind of way? And I'd say a step further, how Baker, congrats to him for a good season, and I don't think anyone's like rooting against the guy. But how has Baker Mayfield become a maybe $40 million a year quarterback in just one season? It wasn't that great of a season. I mean, let's not get nuts here, guys. This was only a year ago. He barely had any contract offers.
So last year, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks, 4,000 yards passing. You know, in 1983, that would have been the best season in the history of the NFL.
Well, it's 2024. Yeah.
I think it was a pretty good season, and pretty good gets you $40 million this year. You just have to live with it. That's the way the NFL works.
I know, but think about, like, isn't that a bit of an overreaction to what you saw? Is because here's the thing about Baker Mayfield. He had a great year with a Hall of Fame wide receiver who they just paid a boatload to bring back. Another really good wide receiver on the other side with Godwin. The offensive line was the one that was built for Tom Brady. So clearly this offensive line is good. And the defense is actually the calling card of the team. So he's got a lot of good things around him. Do I need to pay $40 million because this thing can't go without Baker Mayfield?
Well, yes, and it's going to be short term too. So I think they tie it to Mike Evans, do 2 years, because otherwise, what are you doing next year? Who's your quarterback?
Again, I'm not advocating for a full teardown. I actually like it when teams, you don't have to be Super Bowl or bust to be in it, right? I like teams that are in it.
They're not in it for a Super Bowl, though. They're not going to win the Super Bowl.
They they might be lying to themselves and saying, hey, this is a very winnable division, no matter what the Falcons do at quarterback.
And they got the Saints there, too, but yeah.
Well, call me when the Saints are, really knocking on the door. But I would say
the Saints should have won the division last year. Carr got a little hurt.
Winnable division.
Yes.
Get a home game. Look at what happened. They beat the Eagles, who were reeling. You go on the road, you play the Detroit Lions, you gave them a game. So they're probably thinking, listen, we can catch lightning in a bottle. I just don't think Baker Mayfield is a $40 million a year quarterback. And I just don't see how you're going to overpay here in a way that might end up hurting you.
But $40 million, what does that put you in the ranks of quarterbacks? Are you 12th, 13th, 14th?
Is Baker Mayfield the 12th best quarterback in the league? No way.
He's real close. I mean, you're talking about midway through the league at 16. You're saying that he's not near the average quarterback in the league. 28 touchdowns, 10 picks, 4,000 yards. That's not bad. That's easily top 16. No. I mean, he might not be top 12, but I'd say he's top half of the league because there are a lot of young guys who are not putting up numbers yet.
Yeah, I guess so. But ask yourself, was last year, is that the real Baker Mayfield or is that going to be the outlier Baker Mayfield? Because he's never...
Well, he did that in that 1 year in Cleveland when they won the playoff games.
Never had that many yards, but close, close enough.
So these are the guys when we talk about $40 million a year quarterbacks. So you got Burrow, Herbert, and Jackson, and Hurts. Those guys are above 50. The $40 million guys are Wilson, Murray, Watson, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, and Prescott.
Oof. There's some dogs on that list.
But still,
I mean, if you pay Baker Mayfield those money comparable to Kyler Murray, even that seems crazy.
Oh, I mean, come on, they're about the same, right?
No, I'm saying paying Kyler Murray $46 million is a mistake. Clearly,
yeah.
Well, Kyler's the outlier here. I mean, his agent really got one over
on him. And
Daniel Jones,
right? Well, that's my point. The new contracts are always going to be more. If they can get him for $40 million. That's going to be comparatively a bargain. Well, not a bargain because Baker's not as good, but the other guys are going to get. I mean, Dak's about to sign for $58 million.
I don't love that.
But what choice do you? It's what choice you have.
Well, the Bucs actually do have a choice. You know, the Dallas Cowboys do not have a choice, and we'll talk about Dak Prescott a little bit more later in the show. But I mean, the Bucs absolutely do have a choice. There's other quarterbacks. You're really gonna Does this not come with the buyer beware of Baker Mayfield for $40 million?
Who are these other quarterbacks?
Well, here's the thing: you actually need to draft somebody. Is the real answer to this, whatever this question is, right?
Oh, you think they'll draft somebody and I hope they draft someone in the first round to help my bet with EJ.
Well,
let's hope not.
I don't know about that.
Well, they took Kyle Trask in the second round, and that's really gone nowhere.
The problem is they're picking 26, so they're not in a position right now to be drafting.
And
but that's the real answer.
But they have all these old defensive players they have to replace. I think that they want to probably sign Baker for 2 years, focus on replenishing the rest of the roster, and then maybe go young. I think that the other options are Kirk Cousins. Yep. You know, he's coming off an Achilles. He'll probably be $50 million.
Yep, I think there's major buyer beware with Kirk Cousins too. I think this is a flawed free agent class.
Yeah, and Justin Fields. You have to trade with the Bears, so you have to give up compensation. And I don't know if they definitely rather have Baker. They know Baker can run their offense, even though they're losing Dave Canales to the Panthers. But they knew Baker can get the ball to Mike Evans. So I think this is the safest move. I don't really think they have much of a choice here.
Man, I find this is an overpay for Baker. And then on top of that, it's like you had to pay Mike Evans the largest contract for a wide receiver this old of all time to, in theory, entice Baker. I mean, that to me is also crazy. Mike Evans, I like the fact if he wants to be a Buccaneer for life. That kind of stuff is cool. Maybe you overpay a little bit for a homegrown guy, but to think that you had to do that so that it would turn Baker's head.
I got to tell you, there are a lot. I was reading a lot about it. There are a lot of teams who penciled Mike Evans as their next guy. He was really fast next year. I saw a mic'd up thing where he was burning cornerbacks. You know, you're right. He is 31, and I do like older receivers. But if you're a 2-year deal is fine. I mean, what's the downside here? So what's his dip? He always gets 1,000 yards. He's probably going to be productive next year. He'll probably be worth that money.
Okay, but then we can't have it both ways here, because if you're saying that the Bucs need to sign Mike Evans to this deal to make Baker and to entice him to come back, you're implying the Baker has a pretty big market, right? So to say you're going to get him for 2 years, I don't think that's realistic. I think if there's a big market out there, that means Baker gets all this stuff in his favor, and now you're talking about 4 years, maybe?
I think you can still get Baker for 2 years. I think everything, and listen, I don't love the fact that this is a Super Bowl aspiring team, but I think they're going to run this back for 2 years. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, like you said, get into the tournament. That's the best you can hope for. Draft some young players and see where you are. Who's going to sign Baker Mayfield for 5 years? You think Atlanta or Minnesota is going to do that?
I have no idea. I just know that
I don't think so.
Apparently, there's this big market for him, and he's the second guy off the list after Kirk Cousins. Who, again, if you sign Kirk Cousins, he's 35 coming off an Achilles. I don't understand how we think automatically he's going to be awesome.
When you say you don't like this quarterback free agent class, there's never been a good quarterback free agent class. Because if a quarterback is good, he never gets to free agency. You only get these sort of flawed products. You get Deshaun Watson, who obviously was going through all this legal trouble, and he still got paid. There aren't free agent quarterbacks normally. Like Justin Herbert or Josh Allen is never a free agent.
I know, but
so you have to sort of take what you can get.
Okay, but what are the teams like who really regret signing big time when they do become available? Like throwing all this money at free agent quarterbacks. I just think you got to realize who you have, right? And I would say major buyer beware on both Cousins and on Baker Mayfield at this particular time. Like because of the Achilles for Kirk Cousins, and then I would say for Baker, again, $40 million. You have a pretty good team here. I don't know that Baker was the missing link, that he was the key to this whole thing that made it go.
Baker did have some good games last year.
Yeah, I was
really surprised how good Baker was.
That Carolina game at the end, that was a nail biter in the worst way possible.
He held it together. He held it together in that game. How old do you think Baker Mayfield is?
That's a great question.
Unless you already looked it up.
I did not. We love playing this game because everyone's so much younger than you think. I think Baker, I think Josh Allen is 27. It was the same draft. So is he 26 or 27? He's
28. I felt like I assumed he was at least 32. I can't believe Baker Mayfield, he's been around forever. So you're paying a 28-year-old quarterback, $40 million. That's not terrible. And Baker was a number one pick, won a playoff game in Cleveland. That's an accomplishment. I can't believe I'm defending Baker because I used to be a Baker critic. $40 million, this could sound weird. It is not a lot for a quarterback. $40 million? What's $40 million between friends?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like if you're paying a quarterback $40 million, you have to think you can win a Super Bowl with him?
You're stumbling into, or maybe you're doing it on purpose, but I don't think so. You're stumbling into an age-old debate that Perloff and I have always had about Dak Prescott, where if you don't think that you can win a Super Bowl with Prescott, why are you paying him all this money? And the answer is timing, leverage, the fact that he's a good regular season quarterback, all that stuff. But that's always the question. And Perloff would say $40 million, you shouldn't expect a Super Bowl caliber play. And I'm like, that's crazy.
Well, no. I think Dallas thinks they can win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Don't you? I mean.
But I used to say he's a $40 million a year quarterback, and you would say, who cares? That's like not that much.
No, it's not that much. And listen, he's going to be a $60 million quarterback, and he was second in MVP voting.
Right.
EJ and I argued about this a little bit. Listen, Dak Prescott was not the only thing that went wrong in last year's playoff game. They gave up 48 points to the Packers.
Sure.
The entire team imploded.
Right.
And you could say it's a leadership thing, but Dak put up great numbers this year. And even in that game, Dak threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dak had some huge games this year. I think Dak could win a Super Bowl. I still. So I don't think I don't know. Baker Mayfield probably could win a Super Bowl too in the right situation.
What is $40 million? Like, what's the expectation that comes with $40 million?
But
45.
Say they do 2 years, $80 million. By the end of that contract, he's going to be the 15th to 20th highest paid quarterback in the league. It's just not that a lot. The cap went up. These salaries for quarterbacks are huge.
Okay, but again, you give these massive salaries to guys like Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, guys who definitely have Super Bowl expectations. Baker, if you guys are saying he doesn't even have a Super Bowl expectation, what's the $40 million for?
Well, that's why it's short term.
Okay. I mean, all right.
What difference does it make if it's 2 years? You're going to be out of it if you want to be out of it. The devastating contract is Russell Wilson, who's going to destroy your cap for 5 years.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, when does we talk about it with running backs, where the market has corrected itself, and now running backs don't get paid anything.
Right.
Like, at what point does the market correct itself for mediocre or average quarterbacks?
Great question. Not this year.
It's got to happen at some point, though, right?
Not today.
I would say quarterbacks in general underpaid. I mean, they're worth even more than they're getting.
I mean, Russell Wilson is definitely not underpaid, or Kyler Murray or Daniel Jones.
Yeah, but then Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson are worth every penny they're getting paid because they touch the ball in every play. The entire franchise is on those guys' arms.
It's separating the busters from the guys that can actually play is going to be that's the thing for me.
Yeah, the middle class is $45 million.
Yeah, like, I mean, the Giants and the Cardinals, like, they just have 2 years that are just empty because they have this money that they can't do anything with.
But how do you know who's a buster? I love that term. Because it's a situation. Jared Goff was, quote-unquote, a buster until he got hooked up with the Lions, and then he looks good again. So it's situational.
It is. No question.
He did go to a Super Bowl, though, with the Rams. It wasn't like he was totally...
He was pretty far down on the list.
Yeah, I'll grade to that for sure. Coming up, Russell Wilson, is it the worst trade of all time? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's been on the TB12 method since he was 6. She's on her 3rd scotch. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, the Russell Wilson era comes to an end in Denver. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. But we kind of knew that was going to happen, Perloff. The question now is, was the trade from Seattle to Denver the worst trade in the history of the NFL? I know there's famous examples, the Herschel Walker trade and sort of shorthand for bad trades. But I think when you look at how spectacularly this failed, how much was in the trade, which was 3 players, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 5th rounder, and now how Seattle has used those picks and how good some of those draft picks look, I think this looks like the worst trade in history.
No. And I'll tell you why. Because the famously bad trade, the one that documentaries are made about, the Herschel Walker from Minnesota to Dallas to Minnesota.
Sure.
Because Dallas went on to win the Super Bowl. You need Seattle. Those are good young players, but they just moved on from their coach. You need Seattle to win it all to make this the worst trade ever. That's how the formula works.
So that's a pretty high bar. I mean, they got Emmitt Smith in the trade, famously. One of the picks ended up being one they used on Emmitt Smith, but they already had the number 1 overall pick because they were so bad that Troy Aikman was available for them at 1.
Right. So there's only one question you have to ask yourself. How about them Cowboys? I just think historically, the reason they make documentaries over that is because of what happened. And yes, this Russell Wilson trade looks terrible, but I don't necessarily think it set Seattle up for a dynasty.
Well, maybe not, but again, you get Charles Cross, the left tackle, out of it. You get Boye Mafe, an outside linebacker. You got Witherspoon, already a great corner. And Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris. I mean, these guys who are at least contributing.
Wow.
I know.
Drew
Lock's the backup quarterback.
I think it's the draft picks more than the actual players.
And they're turning out to be really good picks. Now, does it set them up for a Super Bowl? I'm not sure, but they made the playoffs the first year after Russ, and they missed the playoffs this year, but this is a team that could be on the rise with a new head coach. I mean, they had to move on from Pete Carroll, I guess, who's in his early 70s. And so I just think this is the worst. Also, it's not just about the team who gets the picks and what happens to them. It's also about the team that makes the trade and how spectacularly that fails. It's got to be 2 sides to every trade. And I think the Broncos trade with Russ has failed so spectacularly.
Well, they were 11-19 with Russ. That's bad. It's not 2-40 or whatever. It could be worse.
Well, I mean, he's a future Hall of Fame quarterback.
Is he?
We think. So
he was a future Hall of Fame quarterback.
Missing the playoffs.
We'll see about that.
I think is part of it.
It's been a bad fit. Yeah, no, it's been spectacular. I just think that historically, when we look back, are we going to make documentaries about this Russell Wilson trade?
I hope so. I can't wait. I want the 30 for 30. That'd be great.
I just don't think the Seattle part of it is that interesting. Like what they got back. I'm sorry, Charles Cross and...
Well, you're setting yourself up. Devin Witherspoon?
Yeah, I just don't know if it's going to be as compelling. The Denver thing, the Denver collapse has a lot to do with Aaron Rodgers, too. There's so many different things that went into this trade.
Well, and not just trading for Russ after you were obviously going for Aaron Rodgers. Russ and Nathaniel Hackett is a terrible, that's a terrible marriage. But you paid Russ, too. And that's why releasing him yesterday was the big news, because you're going to have this all-time dead cap hit. And it's like the Broncos just keep digging this hole deeper and deeper for themselves. And it's going to be hard to come out of it. Now, the thing is, there's another contender for worst trade of all time that's lurking and looming. We're just not sure. It hasn't come to its conclusion yet, which is Deshaun Watson. And this is going to be an all-time bad trade if he keeps playing the way he's playing, because that's the 3 first-round picks and no players, but then on top of it, they gave him the $250 million guarantee, $230 million guarantee.
So let me ask you a question. The same question with Russ. When you're equating the worst trade ever. Is the contract a part of this discussion?
Definitely.
Because back in the day, it wasn't this kind of crazy money. Right. So I think that if you're looking at the all-time bad trades, you're bringing in a whole new element with the contract. And I honestly think as bad as these trades were, the contracts are even worse. The contracts are the bad part. Forget the trade. You can first-round picks come and go. I feel like we're talking about the worst contracts of all time. Well, it's a different conversation to me a little bit.
I think it's all in the stew. Like, it's all in the sauce to me. And the contract is just the insult to injury that's added on top of these bad trades. I should mention for Deshaun, it was the 3 first-round picks. It was 6 draft picks overall. There were also 2 fourths and a third in there as well. I mean, brutal. Plus, you're bringing in a guy who you knew was going to be suspended in the first part of the year, his first year, now has dealt with injuries. Mm-hmm. Like you might get nothing out of Deshaun Watson. It's still a very boom or bust.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think we can put that at the top of the list yet. We'll see what happens with Deshaun. There are a lot of people who think that Cleveland's going to be good next year, and Deshaun actually looked kind of good right before he got hurt.
Yep.
So I'm not totally done on that whole Deshaun Watson experiment. But I want to go back to this Cowboys thing for a little bit because I'm looking at who they got.
Right.
So they got Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer. Darren Woodson has not quite made the Hall of Fame, or did he make the Hall? I can't remember, but he's borderline Hall of Famer.
5 players, 8 draft picks was the total return on the Herschel Walker.
But they used a lot of those picks to trade again, kind of Patriot style. Yep. And Russell Maryland was involved in this. I just think that they were way ahead of the curve on realizing that running backs are overvalued. And I think that the Vikings saw Herschel Walker from Georgia, and it never happened. Herschel Walker then went to my Philadelphia Eagles and was also kind of average. So to me, if you're really, really going to put it all time, you need to talk about historic players. And I think Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson are going to go bad as terrible trades. But I think that everyone's going to remember them. When you look back on Deshaun Watson, it's going to be the guaranteed money they were going to talk about, not the compensation on the other side. So that's why I think those will never be number one on the list.
Interesting. See, I think Herschel, well, I got to use your same logic, right? Because if it's about both sides of the trade, it can't just be about what, Herschel was 2 seasons in Minnesota. I mean, that was just like Russ. I mean, I don't know about the guaranteed money at the time. Again, the contracts weren't like they are now. But I think Russ tops it. I do. I mean, just as bad. Herschel did still make the Hall of Fame, right? Herschel Walker's in the Hall of Fame.
No, I don't.
No, is he not Hall of Fame?
College
Hall of Fame, of course.
Not Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Okay. Yeah, I guess he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But anyway.
You guys have not mentioned the worst trade of all time.
What's that?
Ricky Williams trade is the worst trade of all time.
Ricky Williams is terrible to the Saints.
Traded your entire draft.
So two first rounders, and the thing about the 2 first rounders, this is before Dan Snyder took over Washington, I believe, right? So they were still not a laughingstock. Champ Bailey and LeVar Arrington end up being those 2 first rounders. Pretty good.
Yeah, and what the Washington actually was smart because they traded back, and then they took another sucker franchise, the Bears, and said, "Hey, we'll trade with you guys too to get more picks," and that's how they actually got Champ Bailey and LeVar Arrington.
Right.
So
and they won what with that?
Well, Champ Bailey is in the Hall of Fame.
Let's talk about Hall of Famers.
Yeah, but they had nothing but heartbreak for the next 20 years.
No, but I think the difference, though, is at least with Herschel Walker, you could say, okay, this was an NFL Pro Bowler that the Minnesota Vikings thought that they were somehow going to go up to the next level with him. The Saints drafted a rookie. Like, they traded their whole draft, literally their whole draft in 1999, and multiple picks in the following draft for a rookie running back that had never played in the NFL, and then we saw had anxiety and had issues that made it difficult for him when he came to the NFL. He wasn't even ready to be in the NFL. So that was a disaster for New Orleans.
Now, here's one thing, though, that might save the Saints a little bit on this one, is when they traded Ricky and flipped him to Miami. Didn't he get 2 first-round picks then? So they weren't the only team that was still seeing this major value in Ricky Williams.
I mean, listen, my fan base, the Eagles fan base, booed the heck out of Don McNabb because they wanted Ricky Williams so bad. I do think it's a little Monday morning quarterback. Ricky Williams was the thing. I mean, the fact that Edgerrin James went ahead of him was interesting, but Ricky Williams was the biggest. We didn't know that running backs couldn't lead you to a Super Bowl back then. We had no idea.
But Mike Ditka's tenure with the Saints is one of the worst coaching tenures in modern history. Yeah. I mean, it was
and
awful.
It all started with that.
Yeah, and it was a clown show from the beginning. I mean, taking the picture with the ESPN the magazine with Ricky in the wedding dress and him in the tuxedo. I mean, that was a clown show.
Didn't he also wear like some kind of dreads, like a hat or something?
He wore a dreads hat. I mean, if you want to talk about just a most cartoonish trade in NFL history, I'm going with that one also.
Ricky did. I'm looking at his numbers. He produced a little bit in New Orleans. He wasn't totally
right, but then he hated Ditka. He came there immediately and was like, "I can't stand this guy." And then he was doing an interview with his helmet on.
But again, so is that the trade was bad, or there was a bad situation that had nothing to do with the trade?
Oh, like
they traded a whole draft for a running back. Of course, the trade was bad.
Okay. Is it all-time bad, like documentary bad?
Definitely.
Would you watch a documentary on the Ricky Williams trade?
They've done documentaries on Ricky Williams.
Yeah, for a million other reasons.
No, but a big part of it is his entry into the NFL and how much of a clown show it was.
Is that really part of the Ricky Williams? I mean, I think
yes.
The weed stuff was so overwhelming. I mean, he got suspended indefinitely from the NFL. He was like the first player to ever get kicked out of the NFL for drugs.
Ricky Williams is one of the most interesting figures we've ever had in the NFL. But yeah, that's definitely part of his story.
Probably a big tarot card guy. I'm just going out on a limb because he's a big horoscope guy, which he does this on Dan Le Batard show where he'll read people's horoscopes. Ricky Williams, big astrology dude. And I bet he's into tarot, which we did on Friday.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe the next time we see him, we can do a reading.
At the end of the day, like a lot of what Ricky Williams, a lot of stuff he advocated for and things he complained about the lifestyle and the nature of the NFL was correct. So I'm not even making this a criticism of him. But clearly, this was not the place nor the fit. And again, trading your whole draft for a running back for a team that was terrible. I don't know. That to me is the worst one to me. At least
wait, running back again. It wasn't terrible.
I get the...
No, he wasn't terrible, but I'm saying the trade
thought
was
process. It's funny because we're talking about the worst NFL trades of all time because Russell Wilson was released yesterday, which is why you might be tuning into a sports talk radio show in 2024 and we're relitigating the Saints trading for Ricky Williams. EJ thinks this is the worst one of all time. I have to go with Perloff a little bit on this, though. At the time, the idea that a running back was going to save your franchise was the overwhelming thought, And so in the moment, it was like, oh, well, if you're going to get an all-time running back, you're going to be great. Now we know how flawed that is, obviously.
But doesn't it make it worse that they literally saw the Herschel Walker trade happen and said, we're going to do that
do it again.
And we're going to do it
20 years later. Yeah.
Well,
there's another bad. There's a couple
they did
more
make the
bad
playoffs,
ones.
by the way, in his second year there. I mean, I'm telling you, Ricky was on a total disaster there. Once they got Ditka out of the building, he was okay.
Okay, so a couple more bad ones. I'm saying Russell Wilson is the worst of all time. Perloff not ready to go there yet.
I mean, it's obviously, to me, the Vikings-Cowboys trade.
Right, the Herschel Walker trade. There's another one for you. Do you remember when the Browns traded Trent Richardson to the Colts for a first-round pick?
Oh, that was bad.
Now, it's funny because first the Browns had used the, third overall pick for Trent Richardson?
Right, because the other thing, that's considered one of the worst draft picks of all time. So he's making two lists here.
Right. So it was a bad draft pick, but then the Browns, and this was rare and still kind of is, the Browns get praised for 2 games into the next season, they trade Trent Richardson. It's like, wow. And they got a first-round pick. It's like, oh, my gosh. Are the Browns really pulling one over on the Colts? And maybe this is a new type of Browns thing. They ended up using that first-round pick to trade up for Johnny Manziel. And Browns are Brownsing again. And it all comes crumbling back.
By a shocking age. Guess how old Trent Richardson is right now?
15. No, he's young. He's probably, is he 30?
He's 33. How is that possible? He hasn't been in the league since 2014. He's 33.
What do you think Trent Richardson's 40 time is today?
I don't know.
The sundial. No, I have no idea.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry.
I thought it might be pretty good. He's only 33 years old. He hasn't taken any hits.
Yeah, I do think you bring up so many interesting points there. You got to look at the whole picture of the trade. So to make this, we're talking about the worst all time.
It's the worst.
You have to, well, you've already said the other ones were the worst. The trend, I'm saying you have to sort of complete the deal.
No, Russ to me is worse.
Right, you have to complete the deal. And even Ricky Williams, I just feel like you have to really make both sides. One side has to win so egregiously, and then the other side has to fail for so many years.
Got it.
To make it really awesome. We're talking number one. And to me, this still really only documentary-worthy trade is this Cowboys-Vikings. I'm not doing the Russ. Do you really want to watch this documentary? It'd be so depressing.
Oh, my gosh. Not only do I want the documentary, I want to go into the 20-room mansion. I want to see what it looks like. I want Sierra. I want everybody. I want the whole thing. I want every different side of this thing.
I will guarantee you right now,
for 10 hours.
Any Russell Wilson documentary will be the most boring documentary you've ever seen in your life.
Well,
he is probably the single last player in the NFL that you want to see a documentary on.
How about RG3 was a pretty bad one. ended up being bad. 3 first-round picks plus a second-round pick to trade with St. Louis to get up to 2. Now, he ended up being the offensive rookie of the year, and they made the playoffs. But then he got injured and basically never, ever came close to reaching his potential.
But I think the thinking on that trade was good, though. I mean, he was arguably the most talented quarterback in that class, and he would have been great if they just didn't put him out there with the injured knee on the turn. He was awesome.
Andrew Luck was always thought of as the generational talent from that draft. The suck for Luck was...
I hear you, but I mean, RG3 was right there for sure. He was definitely better as a rookie than... He's the fastest quarterback I've ever seen in real... Well, Lamar and him he was amazing. Let's not downplay Robert Griffin III in his first year.
No, but okay, but that's 1 year. You're talking about 3 draft picks, 3 first-round picks.
But they really bungled that situation. Like, he never should have been out on that horrible field, and that was an injury thing. I just think the process there was okay. You want to put all your chips in for a quarterback, and he was a really, really good quarterback. You didn't think he was? You guys aren't RG3 as a rookie fans? That was amazing.
He was awesome. It's just the aftermath, how it turned out.
Yeah, I mean, it was an injury. It was their fault.
No, but I'm not saying that it's Robert Griffin III's fault. I'm just saying if you look at what happened on both sides of this, it was everyone gets fired in Washington. That ends up being a disaster situation, which under Dan Snyder, maybe every situation was going to be a disaster. But don't forget, that was like an all-time great coaching staff. Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. Who else was in that building? Raheem Morris was in the building. You had all this talent.
LaFleur.
Yeah.
If you didn't say him, I don't know if you did.
No, I didn't. And even if he ends up getting injured, you're talking about, you got 2 seasons out of the guy.
I think it's funny. In some ways, I almost feel like Washington almost saved themselves because they drafted Kirk Cousins in that draft.
Oh, they definitely did.
He actually ended up being okay. So because of that, I almost don't put it in that class. Because, at least they did have a starting quarterback who was pretty good.
Man, RG3 is a rookie, led the league in interception percentage, led the league in yards per attempt. That's a pretty gaudy stat, and was one of the most effective running backs in history. I mean, he really got off to a hot start. I think this is a different kind of story. And also, I'm just curious, what did the Rams do with those picks?
So they end up getting guys like Michael Brockers and Alec Ogletree and Zach Stacy and a couple. There wasn't it wasn't the Herschel Walker. It didn't set them up. The Rams' success ended up coming when they moved to LA.
It's hard for
Les Snead, though, same GM.
Yeah, I don't, and I know Perloff makes a good point about the other team. I guess for me, when it comes to draft picks, I don't really care as much what the other team did with the draft picks. It's more of the failure for the team that made the trade. To me, if I'm thinking about a worse trade, I'm thinking about how did that leave you in terms of leaving you in the dust? And I guess Washington, I mean the Rams, I'm sorry, they didn't do much, but I don't really count. I don't factor that in terms of saying whether or not this was one of the worst trades. Because at the end of the day, they did trade so many draft picks for a guy who was basically a one-year player for Washington.
Yeah, but Washington wasn't going anywhere under the Daniel Snyder era. There were so many problems. To point to that trade as the problem, to me, doesn't really tell the whole story. We know, come on, Snyder was running such a terrible operation. There's no way that team was going to win.
But Mike Shanahan was in the building.
I mean, listen, they won that year. They made the playoffs with a rookie. The dude got hurt. And if he went to another team that was a little more careful with his health, he might be a Hall of Famer right now. He was incredibly talented.
In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, we're talking about the worst trades of all time. And I think Russell Wilson is right there at the absolute top of the list, where Delta 9 said EJ said Ricky Williams' trade is the worst ever. And Delta 9 said if they would just have let Ricky smoke, he'd be a Hall of Famer.
Probably.
Is that awesome. A metaverse? We do the multiverse of Maggie and Perloff.
Yeah.
When we do the sports what ifs and what could have been. If there was no drug policy in the NFL for marijuana when Ricky Williams was playing, would he be a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Wow.
I think he might be.
I think 100%.
Because I don't think it impacts your performance in a negative way when you're an elite athlete like that.
I think there's a chance Josh Gordon also is if not a Hall of Famer, maybe an All-Pro.
He might have had an alcohol problem too, though, right?
He had them all.
Yeah.
I mean,
it felt like the weed was the thing that kept not letting him stay in the league. Yes, he had those other issues, I think, but it seemed like the marijuana was just anytime he got popped, they kept saying it's a marijuana violation.
I'm not sure that you're 100% sure that marijuana doesn't limit your.
Oh, it might.
I just think every player is different. I just can't see, I think of the elite athletes of all time, like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. I can't see them
stoners
getting high all the time. Maybe in the offseason, sure. But
right.
I don't think during the week. I feel like those guys are kind of staying up late watching tape.
Well, Ricky might have only been in the offseason too. But again, if it
was no, that's hard to buy.
Those are also different positions, though. You're talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, Ricky did run for 1,800 yards, and he was probably high. I get it. But Josh Gordon, I totally disagree with. Like, he was finding trouble all over the place. He was way different than Ricky, in my opinion.
Ricky, it felt like more of a movement. He was trying to say, I don't want to take these, this pain medication because that's going to be bad for me. The Vicodins and that kind of stuff is going to be the habit forming type of thing. Where Josh Gordon, I don't know if it was that.
I saw Ricky at the Super Bowl, by the way.
Yeah, how was he?
He looks like an island man.
Yeah,
he looks like he's been
like zenned out.
Yeah. Feels he had like a long beard, and he's been alone on an island for a long time.
Like Castaway.
Like Castaway, completely. And I've never seen a more relaxed person. He seems to know exactly who he is.
Aren't we all striving for that?
I have no idea if that's because he was high at the time, but he looked just really confident in who he was, which is pretty cool.
People, I love when people find things that just work for them. Like, it's not going to work for everybody, but he found something that just works for him.
Well, yeah. I mean, as far as we know, we have no idea what's really happening with anybody.
That's true.
And he has openly struggled with mental health issues, which is really cool. He's been an advocate.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a big fan. And I was actually a huge fan as a player. How
could you not be?
I was an Eagles fan. I wanted Ricky Williams, so that's why I'm not putting on the worst trade list, because I was part of the problem.
As a Dolphin, he used to destroy the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Destroy them. He looked like the best running back in the NFL every time he played against the Jets. And it wasn't just them, because, again, 1,800 yards that 1 year in Miami. He was awesome.
855-212-4CBS, the worst trades of all time in the NFL. Off of Russell Wilson getting released by the Denver Broncos. I got another thought on Russ. We'll get to that a little bit later. Coming up, I've got a story for Perloff. This one combines all of your fears, all into one story. I read this and I thought of you immediately.
Uh-oh.
Get to it next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
quarterback in this year's.
Seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. All right, Maggie, you promised me a story that will hit on all my fears.
Yeah, and
several.
Loves.
And loves.
Weirdly, yes. It's a story that embodies both.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have no idea where you're going. My only guess is that sharks are involved somewhere.
Okay, no, this is another one of your fears or loves. Sometimes I can't tell. The Iditarod is happening right now. So in Alaska, the dog sled race, okay? But that's not all. So one of the guys in the race is from a show called Life Below Zero.
Oh, are you talking about? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Iditarod TV.
Yes, you love Alaska wilderness stuff.
I'm not terribly afraid of the Iditarod.
Well, just wait.
Okay.
So
unless a shark jumps out and eats a dog.
It's a bizarre story. One of the guys is on a show called Life Below Zero, and I feel like you watch that show.
All the time.
Because you love Alaska Survivor shows. Okay, well, here's the story about what happened to this guy named Dallas. I think the last name is pronounced Seavey. Dallas Seavey is a veteran musher. So that's the guy who's driving the dog sled in the Iditarod. He came into contact with a moose.
Okay.
And had to kill it.
Right.
So the moose got tangled up with one of his dogs and actually injured one of the dogs. So he had to take out a handgun and he had to shoot the moose in self-defense.
Okay.
Apparently, this is something that has happened before where somehow a moose will get like angry and get involved and you have to kill it.
Yeah, moose are really dangerous.
Okay. Apparently, with the Iditarod, there are rules about if you come into contact with any kind of big game animal. So the rules of the Iditarod state that if a big game animal like a moose, a caribou, or buffalo is killed in defense of life or property, the musher, the person who's driving the sled, must gut the animal and report it to the race officials at the next checkpoint. Mushers who follow next must help gut the animal when possible. The rules state this. Now think about it. You're in a race. You're trying to compete against the competition. It's against time. It's a long race, like a month, right? The Iditarod. It's a really long time. I got to double check the figures. And if some big game comes in, not only do you have to kill it, you've got to gut it so that someone else can come behind you and salvage the meat. First of all,
I like that. No waste.
Okay, that's fine. But how about the skills for competing in the Iditarod are not just, drive the sled, but also you have to be an expert in gutting big game? Do those two things come hand in hand?
150%, yes. You think anyone who is actually a musher doesn't know how to gut an animal?
I mean, gutting an animal doesn't feel like it's your average, everyday, run-of-the-mill kind of thing. Like, you got to know how to do this.
In Life Below Zero, it is.
Oh.
Yeah, that is it. Every day. You're 8 years old, you know how to gut. I mean, a moose is huge. How you killed a moose with a handgun?
Yeah, apparently this happened many years ago where there was a woman who was competing in the Iditarod, and unfortunately, she's since passed away. But she had to fend off an angry moose with an axe.
Yeah. I would surprise. I don't think a handgun could take down a moose or a grizzly bear or something like that. But in Life Below Zero, you want to hear something else interesting that they do in the Iditarod?
Yeah.
Do you know how they feed these dogs? So they harvest all the when salmon spawn, they all meet at the neck of the river. Yeah. They harvest hundreds and hundreds of salmon and freeze them. And basically they keep salmon stew going all winter long to feed the dogs.
Interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. I've seen many Life Below Zero Iditarod families.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You're
I knew this was going to be right up your
gutting
alley.
a moose. That's par for the course in Alaska. If everyone hunts, right? So if you hunt, you know how to gut an animal. I would assume. I don't personally know how to hunt, but if you kill something, you have to know what to do with it. You have to dress it.
I get it, but I never thought that. Hey, I'm competing in Iditarod. Ipso facto, I definitely know how to not only kill but gut a big game animal. I didn't think those were handed.
You know why you have to gut it too?
To save the meat?
Right, because if you keep the organs inside, then it becomes too hot and the meat spoils too quickly. So you got to get those organs out immediately.
Man, you really are watching these shows.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've watched every episode of Alone. Alone is my favorite show. Life Below Zero is okay. And there's this one documentary
didn't
about
love season 2.
There's this crazy town in Alaska. I can't remember the name of this show, but it's great. There's only 20 people who live there, and they all live off the land. So, yeah, I mean, I in some weird place in my brain, I imagine that I can do all these things when I watch these shows. It's like when EJ watches superhero shows.
Yeah.
You think
fight crime?
I'm Iron Man because when I watch superhero shows?
I don't know. You could be Iron Man. Iron Man's attainable.
No, he's complaining about the surface and the temperature for his gassers already. Not
when we're going to run
bounds off tall buildings.
Meanwhile, so I thought this
yeah, it's right up my alley.
This story is right for you because you love Alaska survival shows. You clearly love sports, or else we wouldn't be sitting here next to each other. So the Iditarod is up your alley, and then this person had to gut a moose, and it's part of the rules that you have to gut it.
No, this is BS. I hate this. Like the race is about who's the best musher. I don't care who can gut the moose the fastest. In fact, this guy is a world champion. He's like a legend.
Yeah.
Like and he's wasting
5-time winner.
Yeah, he's wasting his time doing something that like nobody cares if he's good at gutting a moose. We want to see him race. Like imagine if like LeBron was playing and it's like, oh, you know what? If you
gotta gut a moose.
No, it's like, oh, if you hit the guy out of bounds who spilled his popcorn, you gotta clean up the popcorn while play keeps going on, and you gotta clean it up and make sure the floors are clean. Like, what is this?
Yeah, kind of.
And also, like get the moose off the trail. Like I feel like this should be part of the
I feel like the humans out of the moose
land. The Iditarod is a more holistic thing. It's not just about. It's not a race like a 100-yard dash. There's a lot that goes into the lore of the Iditarod.
Well, apparently, if you're behind them, the next musher that comes along, you can't just continue to play. You got to stop and help gut the moose too.
But like, why is this part of the rules?
It's not the Daytona 500. It's the Iditarod. Right. It's a whole lifestyle thing. And by the way, we're on in Boise. Yeah. I guarantee 60% of the audience there can gut a moose. Because they're moose I've been to Idaho a couple times. There are moose everywhere, and they're very dangerous to your car.
I thought Boise was kind of fancy.
Boise's also, they call it a high desert. I don't know that there are moose and elk wandering around Boise.
But an hour away, for sure.
Yeah, true. My question would be, in like the Tour de France, there's like those support vehicles that are bringing around like spare tires and whatnot. Why is there not a crew around like on the track that they come in and they clean up the dead moose so the musher can move on?
So there is. It's the, it's here. It's like the... forest people. I'm sorry.
Like park rangers?
Yes. It's Yogi Bear. No, it's Alaska State Troopers. I'm sorry. Okay.
Another good show, by the way.
Bear, you just said?
I'm sorry. Guys, this is not my wheelhouse. The Alaska State Troopers will come along when they're informed of the moose, but you got to start gutting the animal if you're going to save the meat.
Okay.
So I don't know how long it takes the state troopers.
It's a lot of meat.
By the way,
are we eating moose meat? By the way,
no, definitely not.
But it's very edible.
Raw or cooked?
I think you want to cook it.
Oh, okay.
These are parasites.
Sashimi.
That's a carpaccio for Perloff. His raw chicken that he's eating. Yeah, there's no parasites in raw chicken.
If you ever watch the show Alone, which is amazing, and you can get it on Hulu or Netflix, if you kill a moose, you're going to win the whole season. It's who can survive the longest out in the outback, and the goal is to kill a moose. If you kill a moose, if you can protect the meat from the wolverines, you're set, Maggie. I mean...
The Wolverines?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who, Aiden Hutchinson?
Yeah.
Logan?
Yeah. my favorite season was a guy killed a moose, and then he had to kill a wolverine with a hatchet in the middle of the night. He couldn't even see it, and fought it to the death and got all scratched up.
I always think of the cameraman in this instance.
No, in Alone, you have a GoPro.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's
GoPro.
no cameraman. Yeah, why is it the cameraman helping out?
Yeah, I always think it's like Bear Grylls. I used to watch that show, and he'd always have the cameraman. I'm like, he's stuck in a thicket of mangroves. Maybe the cameraman could go call for help or something.
Yeah.
It's like the cameraman's got a GPS right here. Go left.
Yeah, those shows are all fake, by the way.
By the way, in the Twitch chat, we have Brain Camp who says, no, not in Boise. There are elk, but they stay away because they're smart and don't want to get hit by a truck. Boise is much more cosmopolitan.
That's what I thought it was
But
kind of fancy, Boise.
I figure if you on the weekend, maybe you go out in the mountains.
That's true.
I've talked about this on Boise Radio, is Elk City. I had an ex-girlfriend whose her grandparents lived in Elk City, Idaho, this city that you could only fly into.
Oh, wow.
It was 3 hours by car. It's in the middle of Nez Perce Mountains, and there were moose and deer everywhere, and I was not in my element, Maggie.
I was going to say, and what were you doing there?
It was cool. No, I had a great time. It was an awesome place, most beautiful place I've ever been. But it was, honestly, you had to be really careful driving because there were animals all over the road.
Man. Well, Bogusch, we've occupied your update.
I'll still do it anyway.
Okay.
And of course, Russell Wilson thanked the cafeteria staff in his statement after the Broncos told him they'll release him next week. Denver got 11 wins over 2 seasons in exchange for the 5 picks and 3 players they sent to Seattle for Russ. But maybe the Broncos yesterday treated Wilson more respectfully than the Jaguars treated D lineman Foley FATUSAKI. Yesterday morning, they wished him a happy birthday on their social media channels. In the afternoon, they cut him. In the Jags' defense, the social media department is not the GM's office, and neither knew what the other was doing yesterday. These things do happen, as embarrassing as it may seem from the outside.
You shouldn't be cutting a guy on his birthday, though. You kind of you bring this upon yourself when you do. You play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Jacksonville.
Yeah, see, the only thing is, though, as you get older, your birthday starts meaning like a little bit less, and then you get to an age where they start meaning a lot more. And I don't know if he's in the middle there.
But you got it. I don't know. I feel like it's not that hard to be like, hey, what's this guy's birthday? Oh, it's today? All right, we'll cut him tomorrow. Or cut him the day before. How do you, you cut him on his birthday? Is this something to do with the
franchise tag? Deadline is today?
It can't.
Here's my question, though. I feel like, allow me if I'm going to paint with a broad brush here. I feel like men don't really acknowledge each other's birthdays as much as women do.
I hope not.
My group does, but
okay.
Yeah, and
really?
the men around here miss my birthday. Only P gave me a very heartfelt text 2 weekends ago.
Your birthday was 2 weekends ago?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Okay.
Wait,
me and Foley FATUSAKI, same area.
We didn't get cut here though.
That's true.
Felt like it.
Oh.
I've got cut from the road trip too.
Had we known,
I think
we
it's
would have done something
a little
for you.
unmanly to celebrate other men's birthdays.
Well, that's not fair because you helped us out with us knowing that it was Pete's birthday.
Yes. I don't know why we would expect you to.
But I also got help before helping you that it was Pete's birthday. But my help came the day of Pete's birthday.
If Ackerman knows everybody's birthday, he's got to give the heads up to everyone else.
All right, so that's a whole other can of worms. That man is so crazy that he texted me the night before my birthday, happy birthday. So he was early and didn't miss it and was first in line. That is his brain jail that he's in.
Yes, he knows every birthday and every day that he's lived. But here's the thing. I never get a birthday text from Ackerman, and I know you don't either.
I don't think, I don't think Ack ever texts me anything.
Yeah,
well, and that's a win in general, but I do wonder.
Is Ack active on text? I've never gotten a text from him.
Well, now we got to do something for Bogusch's birthday.
No. Just don't cut me.
But okay, so here's my. That's not up to us. But here's my thing, and the show would fall apart. Obviously, I think that men don't acknowledge each other's birthdays as much as women do. I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm assuming that it's mostly men in the front office. Forgive me, but I bet it's the GM, the assistant GM, and the third in command. I'm just going to go ahead and assume those guys are all dudes.
But at the same time, these are general managers and executives who know. They know who this guy's third grade girlfriend was. The research these guys do on the players that they bring in. You don't know the guy's birthday the day you cut him?
I just don't think they commit it to. I just don't think it comes into their field of view. I just think guys don't think about each other's birthdays, especially this.
It's also the NFL. I think you're allowed to get cut on your birthday if you play in the NFL.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And
And
then you'll be embarrassed when your social media tweets happy birthday to a guy you're about to cut.
Well, they also get embarrassed when they forget to wish someone a happy birthday. Didn't that just happen to the Jets or something?
The Jets and forgetting something, yes, sounds right. I take your word for it.
I'm sorry. I monopolized this time with birthday stuff. Bogusch, back to you.
This is not the way you want to start an NBA game.
Anthony Edwards was maybe somewhere in the back, not ready to come out on the floor, so Nickeil Alexander-Walker jumped out there in his place. Anthony Edwards is back, but at the scores table, so first dead ball.
So doesn't get the start.
So apparently Anthony Edwards, all-star guard, Minnesota Timberwolves, has a pretty elaborate pregame last-minute resistance band workout he does, like before he takes the court, and he says he simply lost track of time and didn't get on the floor fast enough. So he had to change their starting five, which in the NBA is a delay a game violation. And this game started with Anthony Edwards kneeling at the scorer's table to come into the game at the very first whistle. So he was in within 25 seconds. He played 35 minutes. He scored 13 points. They won 119-114. It just sounds embarrassing. Nothing bigger than that. Didn't oversleep. Wasn't pouting. Wasn't angry. He
Not
just
a bathroom break.
lost track of the countdown clock.
I mean, we all think he was in the bathroom, right?
But he was there.
Maybe.
But was he at the scorer's table?
Yeah, I mean, he was there, just not in time to be.
Yeah, he was a little late.
A little
because
late.
he was
It feels like a
doing
bathroom
some business.
situation.
Yeah, which is fine.
Right. No big deal. Just funny and a little bit embarrassing. It's
At least it wasn't his birthday when all this happened.
exactly. Thank goodness. It's March 5th. Spring training is about half over. And now agent Scott Boras says interest in free agent lefties Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery is picking up. According to Boras, 4 new unidentified teams have checked in over the last week. Guys, back to you.
All right. I blame Pete that we missed Bogusch's birthday. Pete.
That seems fair, actually.
Where
Don't
were you on
blame
this
me.
one?
Did you happen to know about it?
Don't blame me.
I'm totally blaming you.
No,
You guys have been friends for 2 decades.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I knew it, and that was it. And it was on a weekend.
Why wouldn't you share it with the rest of us
You
so we
said-
could do something for him?
Did you send a note to Andrew?
Am I supposed to have a parade for Bogusch and then to acknowledge the date of his birthday?
I mean, if it was a big birthday, we could probably rustle up some kind of parade.
Wait, did you send him a note?
I sent him a text.
Yeah, I'm scrolling back to find it, and there's a lot of texts since then. Most of them are angry about the Mets and timesheets.
Can I
We're
say
almost there?
It's only 2 weeks ago.
One thing as an adult, as a parent, what men want on their birthday is to be left alone and not have to do childcare. That's
Women
I feel
want
like
that
that's the greatest birthday present. So you kind of feel like as you get older, you want to be left alone and do your own thing.
I got a 3-text birthday message from Pete.
Yes.
With lots of Mets jokes, a Schwartz joke, and then some sweet sentiments.
Well, that sounds like a lovely text. I
Yeah.
just wish you shared it so we all could have had cupcakes.
Can we
together.
hear are any of the jokes shareable on air?
So we had been, I think the couple days before, we had been joking that the Mets had like infinite giveaway days because of how bad they are.
right.
So we said they should actually let you take a player home for a day. So he said, "Happy birthday, my friend. Your gift is Joe Orsulak for a day." It was either that or former interim manager Mike Cubbage. Supplies are limited. A Mets a friend.
It's the first 10,000
Yeah.
people.
So I said thank you. I wouldn't have wanted Cubbage, and that's when then that's when he got nice.
What's wrong with coverage?
So you just sort of take him home and have him hang around all day?
Yeah. You know, they can
It's a great giveaway
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. I love that
He's
giveaway.
just yours.
I
Can
want Diz on Alvarez.
I want Michael Conforto for a day. Just
Okay.
do chores.
Is that what?
Sure.
Okay.
I want to know, yeah. Why not? You weren't a great outfielder, but maybe you can help around the house.
Pool boy, Michael Conforto.
But
You don't need 2 shoulders for that.
Someone in the Mets front office is probably listening to this right now. Be like, well, you know what? It's not the worst idea we've had.
Get it done, King Cohen.
I mean, percentage.
It's like, let's get the lawyers on this.
Is that John Olerud power washing my deck? Well, okay.
Why is he wearing a helmet?
I'm only taking Olerud if he's wearing the helmet.
Why is Todd Hundley redoing my roof?
That feels like it could happen anyway.
I know.
Is that Timo Perez?
It's just me throwing little lobs to Andy Chavez. He's jumping over my fence, recreating the
No
catch against the
bending.
Cardinals.
Got to go all the way over the fence,
Do it again, Andy.
just like against the Cardinals.
Full extension. Let's go.
Now tiptoe on the top of the fence and dive to make a catch.
You know, one thing, Aaron Howman's running gassers if he comes to my house. He's just running gassers on Pete Bellotti if he shows up.
Yeah, give Pete the whistle there. Never take it away. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, well, now we got to right this wrong. We missed
No, we just did. We made Mets jokes. I'm good.
What was the date of your birthday?
February 25th.
Ooh.
Oh, man, we're way late.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Too late now.
There was even an extra day in February. We
Yeah,
totally
it's been
missed
a leap
it.
year.
Cut gets deeper.
Ouch.
Save
All
it
right.
for next year.
Well, coming up, how about this? A topic for Bogusch, longtime Giants fan. Are they done with Daniel Jones? Talk about worst contracts ever. Get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Andrew Perloff. How about Rich Eisen coming through with a couple scoops after being at the Combine this week? Said the worst kept secret, as I believe how he put it, is that the Giants want to trade up, or maybe not even trade up, stick at 6 and take a quarterback. And they're looking for the future past Daniel Jones. Yeah,
and what he said about Daniel Jones was not really heartening for Giants fans. That Daniel Jones, buyer's remorse, one of the worst picks they could have made. We all kind of knew this. I was wondering, we follow the Giants. We're here in New York. And did the Giants not know this before they signed him? It seems like that's one of those situations where all the fans knew ahead of the team.
Well, it was very controversial when they chose him at 6.
Yep.
That was the story of the draft that year, was the reach for Daniel Jones, and it turned out later that they may have gotten a little oopsie-dooped by Washington, thinking that they were going to trade up, or maybe it was Denver, I forgot, to trade up, and someone was going after Daniel Jones, and none of that stuff ended up being true. And so they kind of got sold a bill of goods and felt there was an urgency that didn't actually exist where they could have taken him, because the Giants had 2 picks in the first round that
and they
year.
got Dexter Lawrence, big Clemson guy, in the second one.
Whose billboard I drive past every day, Sexy Dexy, and on 78. But that's okay. So that's part of it. It was a bad pick the day they made it, and then it was a bad contract the day they signed it. This is like, a couple, is breaking up at the wedding, and nobody. To their credit, I guess it's only a short contract, but nobody thought that this was going to turn out well.
No, I mean, Daniel Jones has no passing stats. 15 touchdowns in a contract year got him a big deal. That is bizarre. 15 touchdowns and 5 picks in 16 games. It was, that for the modern NFL is not good. He is a very, very good runner. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but he gets hurt all the time.
Yeah, one healthy year will do that. People overpay. Again, I said this earlier in the show about the Mike Evans contract. 2 years is not going to kill a franchise. It was a mistake, but it's not one that's going to mean 5 years of pain like Russell Wilson's dead cap hit.
Now, to be fair to Daniel Jones, there's been a couple things that have happened totally outside of his, outside of his control. His first year with Pat Shurmur as the head coach was actually good. And if Pat Shurmur had been the offensive coordinator and not the head coach, maybe they would have had a prayer, because he was a terrible head coach, but he was a good offensive coordinator. And then Joe Judge, disaster. And now Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, and that's just not he's not their guy, even though they just paid him.
Yeah, it's so funny. We were talking about this all show. I think the theme is the situation means a lot for these quarterbacks. And you're looking at, there could be 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks drafted. So much depends on who your coaching staff is, who your wide receivers are. And I agree with you, a lot of things have gone against Daniel Jones. That being said, it made no sense to give him $40 million.
None. And also, who were you negotiating against? Like, we're talking about Baker Mayfield might get upwards of $40 million. I can at least squint and see a couple teams who might want Baker Mayfield. Who was in for Jones?
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley was the key to that whole offense.
It'll be really interesting to see if the Giants draft a guy and Jones floats free. Does he ever start again in the NFL?
No, not on purpose.
It's a backup. Okay.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, Dak Prescott speaks. Is that a charity event yesterday in Dallas? We'll tell you what he had to say about Jerry Jones going all in this year. Do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Dak Prescott comments on the future of the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Now, I was listening yesterday when I happened to be out, and Perloff, you and EJ obviously did a fantastic job, and you had RJ Ochoa on from Blogging the Boys, right?
Right.
And he's awesome. And EJ, I think you asked him the question, like, man, feels like Dak Prescott's been kind of quiet lately. Where's he been? Well, it turns out had a kid last week and made his first appearance of the offseason at a charity event for Children's Hospital on Monday.
Right. Big deal because he has a new haircut.
And also is debuting new haircut. I couldn't really tell a difference. And I'm the woman on the show, and I still couldn't really tell the difference. So anyway.
I barely recognize him.
Wow.
He went super tight and he has a goatee.
Yeah, this is like when Clark Kent put the glasses on and all of a sudden it's like, who are you? Or whatever. So he had a couple things to say. First, he was asked about Jerry Jones making the quote-unquote all-in comment, how the Cowboys are going to be all-in this offseason. Here's Dak.
When Jerry says all-in, what does that mean to you as far as next year?
When he says all-in on next year?
Yeah. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah, I'm excited to see it, honestly. I don't know. I can't say I've had talks with him about what is all-in and how you plan on making this move. So, but yeah, let's see. I'm excited for it.
He's basically like the popcorn meme. Like, I'm just sitting on the side waiting like y'all. I want to see what they do with all-in.
I think Dak speaks for everybody who's not named Jerry Jones. Nobody can figure out what all in meant. I don't think Jerry knew what it meant either. I think he said he was all in, and he's been trying to figure that out himself because Dak's like everybody else, all in. What the heck is he talking about? It sounds like they are all not in from everything we're hearing out of Dallas.
I wonder, is Jerry all there? And I hate to say that, but you know, he's Mr. Shoot from the hip, and I get that. That's his style. But this time, I think he's really stepped in it because, listen, there's nothing he can do about it. He's the owner and the GM. But there seems to be a little bit more of an edge from the Cowboy fans this offseason. And even RJ, who you guys had on yesterday, who does Blogging the Boys, even sensed it and mentioned it as well. Because of how they lost to the Green Bay Packers, I think the Cowboys fans are just sick of the excuses. They're sick of the being sold the bill of goods. And that brings us to Dak Prescott's contract extension, which he said yesterday, again, at a charity event in Dallas, he's confident they're going to get a deal done.
Yeah, I'm definitely confident. Obviously, it helps the team. It's important for the numbers. I think it's Jerry. I've heard Jerry said that. Pat happened over here and told me that part, right? That that is a process. Both sides understand that. Everything's great. I know it happens.
Okay, great. I think most Cowboy fans are like, ugh.
So wait, you're saying most Cowboy fans would rather take the huge hit this year, $60 million, and basically do nothing in free agency and run it back, maybe a little bit less talent in the building, than re-sign Dak? You think if you gave them a poll, they would choose, let's just take the pain now and then move on from Dak?
No, I think the Dallas Cowboy fan maybe isn't even looking that deep into it. I just think they're hearing, all right, get the extension done or don't. I don't care anymore. I know what's going to happen, and Dak's going to be there, but I don't think the Cowboys fans are really confident that he's ever going to lead them to a Super Bowl. So get the contract done, don't get the contract done. What's the difference?
No.
I think that's where the Cowboy fan is now. I think that's how frustrated they are. What the heck's the difference? Get it done, and he's here for 5 more years or 4. Don't get it done, and he's here for 1 more year, and then he leaves. Who cares? Nothing's going to change. I think Cowboy fans don't believe Dak Prescott can win them a Super Bowl. And so I think this is met with a collective shrug. Who cares? He's going to be back. I don't care for how long it is. You're not winning a Super Bowl with this guy.
I kind of disagree. I think a lot of fans want to take the short-term hit and move on from Dak. We had the warden called in and said, I can't believe we're going to extend Dak. I think there are a lot of people who would rather just do $60 million this year and be done.
Well, also, because the Broncos are releasing Russell Wilson and taking the biggest cap hit of all time, maybe people are like, it's kind of like made it fashionable to sort of have these terrible contracts for a year or two.
Right.
I say fashionable, but it's palatable, I guess.
Right, and the cap went up significantly, so that kind of would help them eat this. I just don't think they can afford to have an off year. I think they have to spend this offseason. I don't think that they could just say, all right, we'll take 1 year of pain. I don't, Cowboys fan, I can't speak for Cowboys fans. Obviously, I'm not a Cowboys fan, right. But I don't think they really want to take a step backward. But that's what you'd have to do to move on from Dak.
I just think they've I think its morale is at an all-time low. I'll put it that way with Cowboy fans. And
Okay.
I'm not expecting that they, have to stay this way or whatever, but I think Jerry sensed the moment when he said all in, and he's putting that carrot out there to try to, cover up some of the pain of losing to the Packers in that playoff game and sort of suck you back in. And, to be honest, I think a lot of Cowboy fans have made up their mind about Dak Prescott. You've seen enough postseason shortcomings, I think, to question whether or not he's ever going to be the guy. And you'd be right in that. It's not like Dak's young in this league. He's been around for a long time. It is what it is. I hate to use that cliche, but I think he might be who he is, which is a good quarterback, but not good enough to get you to the Super Bowl. And now re-sign him, don't re-sign him. What the heck's the difference?
Yeah.
Just get it over with.
I can't imagine Cowboys fans really think that way. I think they want to. I think they want to get rid of him. I don't think they're
just get rid of him.
I think if you put a public vote up, I think Dallas would say let's move on. But that being said, I don't think that's going to happen because there's a reality. You always say Jerry Jones just wants to be in the hunt to keep them relevant. I don't think at 80-something years old, Jerry Jones can afford a rebuild. I just can't. So he has to keep him because let's play this out. 1 year, $60 million cap. They can't bring in anybody to help that terrible run defense. They can't bring in a second receiver that actually works. So maybe they win 11 games. Then they move on from Dak next year. Who's the quarterback? They're not going to have a high draft pick. It's not a good quarterback class next year. So who's the quarterback?
Well, they've made a couple fatal flaws here, which is they messed around with the last Dak Prescott contract and tied themselves to him. They should have started that contract earlier than they did. The double franchise tags was just ridiculous. And they've never developed anyone behind him. Even with the idea that maybe, even after he got hurt, like, hey, you know what? He could get hurt and the whole season could go in the tank. Even then, they never thought about developing anyone. You have Cooper Rush behind him, which is fine.
Really good.
But he's not your quarterback of the future.
Well, what team develops a quarterback of the future behind a franchise quarterback? That's not something that teams do.
I think once you see your quarterback get hurt and be done for the season, and Dak Prescott has had other injury things, I think that's when you have to start thinking about it a little bit. It's not like he's riding high, winning all these MVPs and Super Bowls, and you're like, well, we're going to take Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round and make Tom Brady ticked off. No, but I think once you realize a guy, is kind of mortal, that's when you start developing someone, not this blind loyalty to this dude forever and for always.
How do you develop? I don't really understand how this works. They got Trey Lance in, but they can't keep him because he's about to have his contract is up. So, Justin Fields, what do you mean?
No, how about second round picks, third round picks? You always advocate for this because your Eagles saved their butt.
I like what Jalen Hurts did, but honestly, the Cowboys are in such a desperate to win situation because there's so much pressure on them that I think that's a pie in the sky that they were going to have some backup behind Dak who's all of a sudden ready to take over. I think I think most Cowboy fans want to start over in 2 years, and I just don't think it's going to be great. I kind of agree with you.
Let's think about this franchise, though. I mean, Tony Romo came in as a backup.
Undrafted.
Right. And Dak Prescott came in as a backup.
4th rounder.
Right. So their last franchise quarterbacks came from guys that they were developing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they thought. So they brought in Trey Lance, but why not do that? It's not going to work. I think because Trey Lance, the money's going to be due too soon for that.
Why did they trade for Trey Lance to begin with is another great question. Why even
bring
the third round pick? Why?
I think it was a 4th round pick, wasn't it? Or was it a 3rd round pick? But either way, it was just a flyer. I think they were doing what you suggested. It's interesting. Jerry also, did he hint, or am I making this up, that they might draft a quarterback this year too?
Okay, well now you might really want to. And so maybe they will.
But what are they going to get? They're a 26th pick or something.
Okay, so in the first round, you're really sending a message. But if you sign Dak Prescott to a 3-year, $180 million extension, which is what the prognosticators are saying,
right?
Then you're going to take a quarterback with the first round? Again,
no.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense either. Meanwhile, more from Dak Prescott. So I'd love to hear from you guys, Cowboy fans, 855-212-4CBS. I think most Cowboy fans have just made up their mind. Perloff, you think they would take one bad year just to move on?
Oh, yeah. If we put up a poll, if you're a Cowboy fan, would you rather have Dak for 1 year and a huge cap hit and move on, or do 3 years, $180 million? What do you think? I think the 1 year would win.
Probably, because I just think fans are done with him. I think they've made up their mind.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And made up their mind that he's not going to be winning a Super Bowl. Okay, so there were some other things here because the Cowboys' culture was a bit under attack because of things that Micah Parsons had said, criticizing the team. Family members like CeeDee Lamb's mom tweeting that Dak Prescott is not a great quarterback. So Dak was questioned about if the culture feels under attack.
That's something I've always bragged on and took pride in. So if there's questions of that, concerns in that, I feel attacked. I'm sure some guys in the locker room do. Wow. Okay. Can we hear a little bit more there? Prescott says he thinks the culture, though, is fine in Dallas. The culture's great from my standpoint. And I say that in the sense is I actually don't know what all talk's been said, so I don't want to go into I don't know, good, bad, or whatever. I've heard some, but I can't. You guys know if anybody, I'm not the one listening, and I'm trying not to. Okay, so he's basically saying that the locker room is so good that if you even dare to question it, that feels like an attack. Not what CeeDee Lamb's mom tweeted, or not like anyone who's critical. That's not the attack. It's even questioning the culture is the attack. Is how I think that's what he really
you
meant.
heard there?
No, but I think that's what he meant.
Oh, I didn't really read that. I felt like he was a little ambushed by that question, didn't quite know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that the locker room is good?
I don't think it's great.
Yeah, I think, again, I think there's major problems with this team that are not Dak Prescott. I think their defense just gave up last year and was totally flawed, and everybody figured them out. I think that was a much bigger. Dak was second in MVP vote. I don't understand why Dak is always the problem here. I think it's one of those situations where everybody points to the quarterback. They get too much credit if they win, too much blame if they lose, and this is a too much blame if they lose.
Yeah, I think the blame on Dak is fair. Maybe not all of it, but I think it's fair to question or not he can win in the postseason. 855-212-4CBS. Big Friendly's in California. Hey, Big Friendly, good morning. Good to talk to you.
Good morning, Maggie Malone. How you doing? Pull off the knee. Hey, Bogusch. Is Bogusch available?
He's not in the room right now.
Oh,
is there a message we can get?
I was going to ask Bogusch if I could refer to him as 411, the man with the info.
We'll ask him for you. I think he would like that.
Yeah, I was calling for two things. One, the Cowboys are not America's team. I don't know who said that and who's been selling that low-budget sale, but Dak Prescott is the problem in the playoffs. But the Cowboys admitted when the playoffs come, they turn to toilet paper. They're just soft. Am I lying?
No, no lies detected.
And real quick, Maggie, before you guys cut me off, I apologize for last week. I was at work, so I was trying to not cut you guys off.
Oh gosh,
but I have a clothing line. and some endeavors coming out.
Okay.
And I'd like to send you guys some T-shirts. And I have a special thing for you, Maggie. You've been raving about them. So I made sure I have my business partner go back to our clothing line and design something for you.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I would like to get your guys' sizes off air so I can send you some stuff. And Perloff, my man.
Yes.
I hear you talking about a trip you're going on. You're traveling somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Perloff, I got a 2000 Dodge Ram bubble top conversion van. 7 seats, 4 captains, 3 televisions. I'm your man whenever you need a ride.
3 TVs. That's pimped out.
Are you a big road trip guy? I have to imagine with that kind of.
That's what I do. With one of these shows we're starting, and I'll send you guys a shirt. I'm not going to plug nothing without your permission, and I'd rather wait till later. But with one of the shows we're starting with me out front, we do a lot of traveling.
All right. Well, that's a tease. Okay. I like the dimensions. It's a 2000. What's the car?
It's a bubble top. It's a Dodge Ram. Come on, Maggie Malone. Would it be anything else?
Come on, Maggie.
A Dodge Ram. Listen, I was told to avoid Dodge Rams. It's like whenever you're walking home, if a Dodge Ram comes up behind you, start running.
I've had some of the guys in one of the jobs I work in a group home for high-functionally disabled adults. And when I pulled up to a couple of houses to work, they're like, who's in the, I won't say the word van.
Yeah.
I'm like,
are we under surveillance?
Yeah. So they're like, what? Who's in that van? I'm like, it's okay, man. It's okay. And then when they look inside, they're like, oh my goodness, this is nice. So.
You know what it is? I think it's the lack it's like the lack of windows in the back that kind of creep everybody out. But Big Friendly, we love this. I'm going to put you on hold so that EJ can talk to you about the clothing line and stuff like that, which is cool. I mean, that's really amazing work that he's doing, working at a home for adults who have disabilities. That's
yes. Amazing. And actually, I'm going to be a little cautious on the van, as I think everyone should be on van situations because, Big Friendly can definitely pull off the van. I don't know if I'm a van guy.
You're definitely not.
yeah. But the 3 TVs sounds interesting, and he sounds like an amazing road trip partner.
Yeah, I would be down with Big Friendly. I mean, he's coming up with rap lyrics. He sounds like he's a entrepreneurial kind of dude. So I'm looking up some Dodge Rams here, the 2000 version. Yeah, it's just there's not enough windows in some of the makes and models of this van to make me think that anything good's happening in the van.
Well, you know what? I just keep hearing about bigger and bigger vehicles. I think this is going to be a whole show trip. I think everybody has to come on this road trip.
I'm not coming.
Oh, come on.
I'm not. I don't. There's
It
no
doesn't
amount
sound
of FOMO.
fun.
I didn't call Victor Wembanyama. I didn't call him that. Why am I? Why am I now
no. Because we're going to make it a fun
30-hour
football trip.
No, I'll meet you in Dallas. I definitely want to go to the Cotton Bowl. I want to see the Red River
So you
rivalry.
would drive to fly down.
Yeah, I'll fly
What
down.
about a van with 3 TVs? That doesn't interest you?
Just as long as the driver's not watching one of them.
I did wonder about that. I mean, there are a lot of cool things that we could do on this road trip. I mean, if we get all 5 of us in there, that'd be amazing.
But it's kind of like what we said yesterday, though. This is supposed to be a punishment. Why? Like now we're trying to ease the pain that you'll have of having to drive down there by yourself by bringing all of us around.
Wait, here's a question too. Where are we going to do the show from?
The van.
The van.
Perloff is
That van
definitely
is wired.
He's definitely doing shows from his car or this van potentially. Like that's going to happen.
Wait, in my mind, you were doing shows from like a motel or a hotel, not from the van. The van's as Wi-Fi.
Well, listen.
Is it on the phone?
What season is this too? This could be in May because I could bring a Met along with me too. Apparently, with a
New idea. Rent a Met.
rent a baseball player. And Brandon Nemo could come, and it'd be
Edgar
amazing.
Alfonso in the back
This
seat.
trip. What if we get a Sprinter van and we make it this incredible sports tour of America?
No.
Oh, come on, Maggie.
I don't want to do a road
You don't want to
trip.
be with a bunch of smelly men on the road and a weird van?
No, forgetting my birthday and everything like that. No chance. Or Bogusches. Adrian's in Maryland has a thought on our original question, which was, if you could vote, would you rather have Dak Prescott play out one last year of his deal, even though it's a big cap hit, or sign him to a 3-year, $180 million deal? Hey, Adrian, how are you?
Hey, guys. Good morning. Hey, as I told EJ on offline, I'm a Cowboys fan, so you got McCarthy on 1-year deal. He's a lame duck coach right now, and Dak's basically in his last year. Nobody's talking about they picked up Trey Lance's roster bonus, so they picked him up. So I'm saying, as a Cowboys fan, let Dak play it out. Whatever happens, it happens. He can play into a new contract or he cannot. But nobody talks about Dak is a 4th-round pick. He wouldn't have played if Tony Romo never got hurt. He wouldn't have played if Kellen Moore never got hurt. So, we put all these expectations on him, but what do you expect from a 4th-rounder? He's got you to the playoffs. He's got multiple 12-win seasons throughout his career. So, I mean, we're thinking of him as a top 10 pick. I know he's a top 10 quarterback now, but
that's
as a 4th rounder, you don't think that.
I know. Adrian, it's funny, and thank you so much for the phone call. And it's an interesting point about did he already sort of outplay he clearly has outplayed his draft spot. So can you just say, job well done, Dak Prescott, you did more in the NFL than anyone ever expected? Then I would ask you, what about Russell Wilson? I mean, I know he won a Super Bowl, but that was with an all-time great defense too.
Yeah.
Just because Russ was a later round pick doesn't mean that we would have that he's exceeded his expectations. Aren't we still expecting him to be better?
I think it's a valid point, but I think we've moved on from Dak's draft position. After a certain number of years, it doesn't matter when you were. And by the way, I still don't totally understand why Dak Prescott was a 4th-round pick. He was the biggest star in college football. He obviously should have gone higher. That's it. And Russ, too. I just think when those guys got drafted, it was the early 2010s, and people didn't quite understand what was going on. I think there were a lot of mistakes. I mean, Russell should have gone higher. Every team said, oh, we loved him. We wanted to take him higher, but they were afraid he was short. And I'd like to see, how did Dak Prescott fall the 4th round? I don't even remember why, because he was a big star at Mississippi State.
He was a big star.
I'm looking at his numbers; are fantastic. He really should not have been there in the 4th round.
Yeah, this was like a small thing. I think he had a DUI right before the draft, but I don't know whatever happened with that. Listen, there's been guys with way worse things happen who got drafted higher. Okay, sorry, I'm doing a little more research on the Dodge Ram. So he said, Big Friendly said bubble top. So from what I can tell, the bubble top vans actually do have more windows. So it doesn't look like a creepy sort of van. It looks like a legit, fun, party van.
Let's go. Let's get the whole crew in there. Let's go via Chicago, despite you guys' protests, because there's lots of fun things to do in the Windy City. And then we'll go down to Nashville. Bachelorette parties, Maggie. You can come join a couple.
I've already been to
Then we'll go
multiple
down.
bachelorette
We'll get
parties.
the
I'm
breakfast
good.
tacos in San Antonio. We'll see some football in Dallas. It's going to be an amazing trip. Maybe stop by New Orleans.
I'm like, my face is like, I'm making a sour face.
You don't love these cities? What's wrong with
No, it's not that. I don't want to go on a road trip with you guys.
I'm
sorry.
taking that personally.
You might want to. No, I'm just kidding. I love you guys. I love doing the show with you. I just don't know if I want to go on a road trip with it.
All right, fine. We don't need you.
Is that wrong?
I mean, I don't. The thing is,
EJ doesn't either.
I love college football. I love breakfast tacos. I don't need to drive 27 hours to do that. I can get in a plane and meet you there.
How about that?
Like, that's the thing.
But you're going to miss all the fun all along the way.
Here's the question. Big Friendly's in California, so how are we even going to meet up with this guy?
Well, he's got a van. He can drive anywhere. Bilotti, you in on this trip? If we get everybody going?
Oh, I don't know.
Nah.
Nah. I don't know.
What if you guys all fly down to San Antonio to meet me?
That I would do. In a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that I don't have as much issue with that. Because I really do want to do this taste test of Austin.
Me too.
Austin tacos versus San Antonio. Because I've had Austin tacos and they are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I would do that
RJ was
also.
saying that San Antonio washes Austin, which is interesting to me.
I've never been to San Antonio. All
Same.
the great sports things that have happened in San Antonio, and somehow I've missed all of them.
It's a wonderful town. The thing you guys are missing, like you're not going to do deep dish pizza in Chicago and then all the great food in Tennessee.
No, but I've
we
been
need
there
to do
before.
We need to do an entire national food trip. Bogus, you're with me, right?
No, I can't believe you're doing this. This began with me going, I'd love to spend this time with you, get to know you, share this experience, and you flatly, rudely denied me. And now we've come this weird full circle where you're pitching
Soliciting.
the trip to us.
Safety in numbers. What if you and I run out of things to talk about? If we have all five of us, it'd be a lot easier.
No. There's multiple Dave Matthews tours and concerts that you guys could be talking about. Or at least Bogusch could just kind of do a podcast about it.
We could do pre-Boyd Tinsley, post-Boyd Tinsley.
The weird thing is, I feel
That's
like
like 4
Bogusch-
states.
Bogusch is objectively probably the best person to go on a road trip with out of all of us.
Yeah, he'd be fun.
Good small talker.
Which is why I don't understand why Perloff keeps stiff-arming him.
I know.
Thank you, EJ. It's the nicest thing you ever said about me. Thank you very much. I
855.
appreciate it.
Keep it 100.
Means a lot.
2 for CBS. See you guys on the phones.
Ironically,
855.
I'd be probably the worst person to go on a road trip with. That's why I kind of want to be alone.
Afraid you're going to let everybody down.
Yeah, I don't know, Bogus. I might be doing you a favor.
855-212-4CBS. Well, Bogusch has headlines. What do you think about the nickname 411?
Yeah, I'll take it. I heard that I started to come in, but I wasn't sure if that was going to be a nice or a mean comment. So I stopped, heard it. It was nice. I'm in. 411, go ahead.
I love it. All right, coming up, big retirement yesterday in the NFL. Did Perloff shed a tear? We'll get to that next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. So we've been talking a lot about Victor Wembanyama. Looks like he is making a strong push for Rookie of the Year, and I will lose the bet and have to drive down to San Antonio because I called him Victor Wembanyama. I think he could be the Defensive Player of the Week this week, any week. This dude's blocking everybody. So I'm going to go with Victor Wembanyama.
Way to get on board, finally.
Yeah. I saw a stat, by the way. He's scoring more per minute than any rookie since Michael Jordan. That was not good for my anti-Wembanyama take. I mean, he is setting records, including blocks. I think Wemby's the Defensive Player of the Week.
I think he's Rookie of the Year. I think he's Defensive
I
Player
lost
of the
bet.
Week.
I mean, I lost the bet. There's nothing else I can say. What am I going to say? That he stinks still?
Perloff is now, like, we're picking out vehicles and we're, like, plotting places on the map.
I'm a realist.
I've lost the bet.
This is like when the Eagles were 10-1 and Perloff was like, they're doomed.
Yeah.
You're seeing the snowball.
No. This is not good. But who's your Defensive Player of the Week?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Nobody plays defense anymore. Last week, EJ went with a women's basketball player, right?
No, he went with Ricky Leday from San Diego
Ricky
State.
Leday from San Diego. Yeah.
Oh,
from San
sorry.
Diego State.
You did men's basketball.
Yep.
Pardon me. I don't know. A NHL goaltender, just to change it up on us.
Wait, is Ricky Leday the baseball player's son?
No. Similar names.
Got it.
Different
Okay.
guy.
So the defensive player of the week this week is Cameron Brink of
Stanford.
Women's basketball player. So in the win over Oregon, she had 17 rebounds and 3 blocks on Saturday. And she followed up that performance previously, or the previous performance before that. She had 23 rebounds in a win over Oregon State. That was the number 11 team in the country that they beat. So 2 wins last week, 23 rebounds in the win over Oregon State, 17 rebounds in the win over Oregon. That was included with 3 blocks. So Cameron Brink, who is one of the best players in women's basketball, will be a factor in the NCAA tournament, is my defensive player of the week.
Did you look at Wemby?
Not seriously, no.
Just wait. Wemby's coming.
He's won this like 6 times. So I like to mix it up a little bit.
Quickly to the phones. Now, this is taking shape, I guess. We got an offer for Big Friendly in California. Says he's got a Dodge Ram 2000 bubble top, 4 captain's chairs, 3 TVs for Perloff for the big road trip down to San Antonio. Getting Big Friendly from California to New York, though, seems a little
I could
tough.
meet him halfway.
I thought we were going to, you were going to take the Honda Accord. But Sean is in Oregon, has a thought on this van. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Hey, you guys. Your package is at the post office. I guess it came. I got to go pick it up. I'm going to go pick it up today. You
Go
guys.
get it.
I will. I want to talk about a party van.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up partying all the time. My dad had a hippie van. I'm a painter. I've always traveled in a van. And I had a guy one time tell me we need to get curtains for the van. We used to have a saying. We used to say, what happens in the van stays in the van.
Oh, man.
Another one of our sayings is, when the van is a-rockin', don't bother knocking.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Sounds legal.
Sean, thank you. I'm going to be running like hell from that van.
What kind of shots in you before getting in that van?
I got to be honest. If any women got in that van, that's a credit to you that they trust you that much to get into a van and have you shut the door with no windows and something. I don't know.
I think curtains on a van is a good line to draw.
I'm telling you, you guys, if I was ever being chased by a van with curtains on it, you should clock my 40 time. I would blow anybody out of the water. Bring it to Texas. It'd be like, wow, that woman is the fastest woman on earth.
Yeah, move over, Xavier Worthy. Here comes Maggie Gray.
Xavier Worthy. All of a sudden, Rich Eisen appears. He's like, she was cloud of dust.
I don't know. With your upright running style, I still think the wind resistance is a problem.
I know. I'd get caught.
If you're getting chased by a van, just get down a little, Maggie.
When will I learn? Birdie's in Florida. Good morning, Birdie.
Hi, everybody. That's quite the call to follow, but just a reminder, I'm the Revenge of the Nerds guy from about a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic taste in music and movies. And you were an extra in Revenge of the Nerds, right?
That's right. Yeah. Great memory. Because a great town you have to hit up, especially if it's maybe October for Oktoberfest or even that time of year, is Fredericksburg, Texas, about an hour north of San Antonio, was settled by Germans. And it is like being in Germany. When you drive into town, the signs are in German restaurants, beer fest, the whole thing, all the food there. It really is like a German town in the U.S.
That is so random, Birdie. Thank you so much. I had no idea this place exists.
It sounds super fun. What do you think, Mag? You in now?
Nope. No offense. Like, I don't love German food and German beer. It's a little heavy for me.
Oh, but that's the reason?
Good German food, though.
I have had.
Really?
Yeah. I really have. It's just not my thing. Schnitzel and the cabbage.
Pierogi.
The pierogies to me are Polish.
Oh, yeah,
but maybe.
Germans eat it a lot, too.
Yeah, like I'm not a big, I'm not going to be eating a lot of brats, stuff like that.
Kielbasa, no.
Oh,
All sounds good to
I went
me.
to the Czech Republic and ate a lot of that.
Right.
Really delicious. I've been to a lot of German restaurants. I just can't do it a lot.
All right, well, I guess
And
the road trip's off.
Oktoberfest.
Fredericksburg. That was a great try, Birdie.
Enjoy Fredericksburg by yourself.
The last time I went to an Oktoberfest celebration, now to be fair, this was a long time ago. So if my mom's listening or any of my family, it's a long time ago. I went to an Oktoberfest and my friend and I went and we were drinking those huge beers out
like
of those
a Stein.
Steins. Yep. And we just woke up in a movie theater with the credits rolling. I don't even know what we saw. So I can't be trusted at an Oktoberfest. That was the first and only one I ever went to.
Hearing a lot of excuses. Your fear of being blackout drunk in a van with curtains.
I'm lucky I woke up in the movie theater. Of all the places, it was at least dry. Okay, Bogusch is here with headlines.
The Kelce brothers, as you might know, are from Ohio. They played their college football at Cincinnati. So why wouldn't the Cleveland Cavaliers try to sell some extra tickets by exploiting Jason and Travis? Fans attending tonight's game with the Celtics get a Kelce brothers bobblehead. The boys wearing navy blue Cavs jerseys. Their usual numbers on them. Jason's beard does look acceptable. And the team expects at least one of them, but don't know which one, in attendance for the game.
I'll bet you $1 million which one it is.
It's going to be whoever Cooper of the Kelce family is will be there.
There's a secret brother.
Yeah, not pictured. Bart Kelce.
So, by the way, now the Kelces claim Cleveland, where they're from.
They are from Cleveland,
Cincinnati,
yes.
because they went there.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, because it's Jason. And Kansas City.
It's the whole Midwest.
Yeah, they're bigger bandwagon jumpers than me. They have 4 cities that love the Kelce brothers.
The difference between you and them is that they are the ones actually building and driving the bandwagon, not just getting on the back of it. So it's slightly different than you jumping around.
Oh, but there are a lot of people who didn't like Jason Kelce showing up in the Chiefs box in this room.
Yeah, it was corny. Just like this bobblehead night is corny.
I think it's definitely going to be Jason showing up. I think Travis's appearance fee is probably gone up a little bit. Although he does love the NBA.
No. He'll be there.
You think it'll be Travis?
Wait, I'm sorry. There's only one. Travis, Travis was in Philly yesterday.
Yeah,
he shows up at the Jersey. He shows up at the Jersey Shore every summer with Jason slinging beer. I don't know. Travis likes a good party. I don't think he's changed as much as you guys think he has.
Maybe not.
Maybe he has. He is J.D. Taylor Swift.
Let's test the theory. Let's see who shows up to the Cavs game.
Cleveland is such a great football town. I don't think you can be championing guys that play for the Chiefs and Eagles. I'm sorry.
But it's a big high school town, too. So I think if you're a high school legend there, that means a lot.
Yeah,
like St. Ignatius and all those schools.
I got to do a game once called the Big 33. Have you guys ever heard of this?
Yeah.
In Hershey. I was a sideline reporter for them once, and it went disastrously. It was the worst job I ever had. No, I loved it, and they were great. It wasn't that. It was so many factors went into it was a really tough day for me on the sideline.
Okay.
Yeah. And some other time I'll tell that story, but they were lovely. I'm sorry, Bogusch.
So Jason and or Travis will be there tonight. Donovan Mitchell will be there as well, but he's not playing, already having missed 2 games with a sore knee. The Cavs say he's out for at least 3 more if you're getting a PRP shot for that knee. Giannis out last night with left Achilles tendonitis. His Bucks fell behind 13 late third quarter against the Clippers, and then they won 113-106 with Damian Lillard scoring 41. Doc Rivers' boys 4-0 since the All-Star break.
Our execution offensively was unbelievable down the stretch. We got the ball to the guys that we wanted to get the ball. When they trapped, we moved the ball. We kept the game simple.
They outscored LA 23-10 over the final 5 minutes to get the win. The Lakers dumped the Thunder 116-104. LeBron 19 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and got the final 6 minutes off. Before we leave the Lakers, let's welcome in Ron Artest and Lamar Odom on the Lakers All Day, Every Day podcast. A story about Kobe being Kobe.
I never get a call from Kobe. My phone was ringing. I said, hold on, wait, baby, I got some. Kobe's calling me. I don't know. Hey, yo, what you talking about? MJ, number 1. And he was telling me why he was number 1.
No, because Lamar, you sit on the bus.
I'm going to keep it real with you. We on a bus one night. I think this is when after he hit his 9th game winner against Milwaukee, my come on the bus and said in front of me and Fish, he's like, yo, I'm better than Mike. I said, what?
He might be, honestly.
He said, yo, I'm better than Mike. I was like, you better than Mike? That's how you feeling?
Wow.
It's a great story. Of course Kobe thought he was better. Michael Jordan was his idol. I mean, he did everything like Michael Jordan, but I'm sure he probably got to a point where he thought he was better than Michael. He had a lot of delusion like that, right?
Yeah, he was the most confident player.
Yeah.
But still, I always thought he put Michael on such a pedestal because he did copy him in a lot of ways.
Well, but
that maybe he
publicly-
would do that. Yeah, I don't know. But obviously, we all agree he was not better than Mike.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I thought it was funny that Lamar Odom says that it was a random win over the Milwaukee Bucks that made him say, you know what? I feel confident saying this. I'm better than Mike.
Yes, except when LeBron came back from a 3-1 deficit to the Warriors and said, I'm the greatest player now ever. People are like, get the blowtorches out.
No, they showed the clip in the video. I'm like, that was that. I remember that Bucks game. That team was terrible, and that was like January. Kobe said, "This is the thing that puts me over the top."
That clinched it.
Listen, I think it's good to be, great in your own mind. Of course, Kobe thought that.
That's weird that you guys figured out a way to get LeBron into that conversation. Didn't see that coming.
I'm just
Didn't see that coming. By the way,
Kobe wouldn't be Kobe if he
greatest
didn't think he was
game I've ever seen in my lifetime is Kobe's 81. He was hitting 3-point shots while he was double teamed. I think we're going to have an interesting debate moving forward about that 81-point game because I think that's the highest scoring game I will ever see, and I know you disagree with that, Maggie.
Yeah, no, I don't want to give away the whole thing.
But it is very Kobe related.
Yeah.
Are we doing that tomorrow for our great sports debate?
We might be.
We have like 3 ideas floating around. We have not landed on one yet.
I'm telling you, I love the NFL offseason because we can do all the stuff that we want to do. It's a great time to be a radio show.
You're actually allowed to do that during the NFL season, too.
We do it then, too.
There aren't really strict federal guidelines on these things.
No, we have to talk about Titans, Colts, whatever.
You can't talk about creepy vans during the NFL season.
We always find a way.
OD on peanut butter during the NFL season?
It was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't almost OD.
Oh, yeah.
Your body went into shock.
Maggie was much closer to death when she ate the jar of jelly.
I told you, I ate 200 grams of sugar in a half an hour.
Asking somebody if they OD'd on peanut butter is crazy.
That'd be a great story.
It's like
Except for the dying part.
Except for, remember the movie Half Baked?
Of course.
Right, where he goes to like a meeting for marijuana, and then Bob Saget has that very memorable line.
I seen him.
It's like, I almost bit it. It's like, oh no, what'd you have? It's like, I had 17 ounces of peanut butter in 45 minutes.
Who directed that? Francis Ford Coppola?
Yes, more?
I'm sure. Nobody fires head coaches like hockey does. The Devils canning Lindy Ruff yesterday on his birthday. 8 points away from a playoff spot less than a year after a 100-point campaign and making the second round of the postseason. He is the 7th coach to lose his job this season.
Take a hike.
Wow.
Back to you guys.
Just quickly, I looked up a little bit more about Fredericksburg, Texas.
Yep.
Yes.
And other things you can do there if Perloff is going to take this road trip to San Antonio to apologize to Wembanyama. There is an award-winning vineyard on a working ranch in Fredericksburg, which also has kangaroos just jumping around.
All right, I've been here.
Now Maggie's
You've
in.
been there?
I've been here. I was just remembering Dusty took me through there once when we were driving to San Antonio for the high school all-star game. It's like an old vintage town. Yeah, I've definitely been here.
You went to the kangaroo place too?
No, I did not go to that, but it's a beautiful little old town. It's very well known in Texas.
Okay.
I went from Houston, and correct me if I'm wrong here, anyone in Texas. I went from Houston to San Antonio for the Army All-American game and went right through Fredericksburg. It's awesome.
Okay. Well, I didn't know there's a vineyard/kangaroo farm.
Can I ask, going back one thing, hockey, are there only 4 coaches that they are cloning? And because like Lindy Ruff is fired again, is it Lindy Ruff, Tortorella, and like 3 other guys that just keep getting hired everywhere?
I always forget if there are 30 or 32 hockey teams. Whatever the number is, there's 2 more coaches. And they just come back in, then go back out for a little bit. Yeah.
It's amazing because every time you say a coach is fired, I'm like, I know that coach.
Right.
And I don't know any hockey coaches.
And he's replaced by Travis Green, who used to be the coach in Vancouver. So again, the cycle continues.
It's all right. Peter Laviolette will get in there sometime.
He's the Rangers coach, and now he's now the 8th. Like there are 8 coaches who have less tenure than him, and he got hired in June. How's that possible?
Yeah.
These coaches, they just go in the penalty box. They're not actually fired.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, take a year off. We'll bring you back in.
Bogusch, thank you so much. A lot to do, including, again, a question about Russell Wilson that has to be answered. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, back on Maggie and Perloff. Maggie, I went rogue and put up a poll on my own Twitter handle, X handle. If you're a Cowboys fan, would you rather play out Dak's final year of his contract and take a short-term salary cap hit or extend him so you can sign other players this offseason? Predict how that poll turned out.
Well, if you did it on your own, that means 60% are probably fellow Eagle fans or Eagle sympathizers.
No.
In which case, I wouldn't actually know which way. They probably want more Dak, right?
No, Dak absolutely destroys the Eagles. I think he's 10-1 or something. He's killed us.
Probably the first one, short-term hit.
Play out Dak's final year,
Yeah.
57%. I think a lot of Cowboys fans want him gone, and they don't care what happens this year.
Yeah, I just think that they realize what it is, right? And whether you want to go back and say, like Adrian, who called us earlier and said, listen, Dak's already exceeded expectations because he was a 4th-round pick, or you want to say Dak has fallen woefully short in the playoffs. Either way, I think people are ready to move on. Bill in California is one of those people. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, good morning, you guys. Hey, Perloff, since it's all going south this morning, I'm going to do you one better.
Yeah.
It's not a van. Yeah. I got a 40-foot Fleetwood Excursion, basically the Madden Cruiser without Outback Steakhouse on the side. Washer, dryer, shower, TVs, couches. We can cruise in style.
I
know I'm not doing. I don't have my own clothing line. I'm just a blue collared worker like EJ, and just making it easy.
I love it. EJ's got more advanced degrees than everybody in the room, but yeah, yes, EJ's our blue collar worker.
I'm looking
this
up
is an
Fleetwood.
awesome van.
Yeah, it's an RV. It looks beautiful, dude. What color is it?
Say that again.
What color is it? Did you say the color?
It's got a green. It's green, but it's got like this nice, paint graphics on it. It's really. I mean, you'd be in style.
Yeah, that is.
I've been on the Madden Cruiser, and that's when I was a kid. I was on the Madden Cruiser, and when I got older, I thought, you know what? I want something like this.
All right,
so I have something like that now.
Wow, good for you,
Bill. This is the dream to drive around the country in an RV watching football games, doing radio shows.
Perloff's if you're not watching us on YouTube or Twitch, like his face, like you're lighting up, you're beaming right now.
Yeah, and not only that, I'm going to force you guys to. Bill, can you have 5 people come with you from the Maggie and Perloff Show?
How about 50? This thing's huge.
We have it all. I mean, my wife and I last year, we cruised to Minnesota, from California to Minnesota, and did all that, and stopped in Sturgis, did Sturgis. It was wonderful. It was almost like not leaving your own home.
Wait.
Cruising on air.
Wait, Bill, Sturgis, is that like a famous motorcycle
That's a motorcycle
thing?
place, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. Maggie, let me tell you, if you've never been to Sturgis, you and your husband get out there, rent a bike, and do it. You will love it.
Bill, we're going to hurt ourselves.
No, you'll be a changed woman afterwards. I tell you what.
Uh-oh. I'd love to know how a motorcycle convention's going to change me. And my husband, apparently.
Real quick on the Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Guys, Dak's done nothing. Let's be honest. He's done nothing. He's gotten to the playoffs. Whoopee-doo. You guys said it earlier about drafting a quarterback. He's got to go to the right team, the right coaches. And guess what? The right system, right? He's not there. He's never been there. This is where my argument about Brock Purdy comes in. He's been in the league 2 years. He's been to the championship game. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's already exceeded what Dak Purdy is. Dak Prescott.
Yep.
And Dak was voted number 2 in the MVP. Give me a break. Come on. You know the 2 people in MVP was Jackson and Purdy, but nobody wanted to vote Purdy because of where he was. And there's no way Dak should have been number 2 in the MVP. But it is what it is, and it's Dallas. So let them fall on their own sword and let them continue playing there. I'm good with that.
All right, Bill, call back closer to this rookie year thing. We'll talk.
Yeah, Bill, looks like you've got Bill's got no problems. He's got this amazing, basically a tour bus that he's going around in.
I think that Purdy wasn't number 2 because him and McCaffrey split all the votes, and that's how Dak ended up number 2. Don't you think that makes sense?
It's not a perfect process, that's for sure. 855-212-4CBS. Wow, the possibilities here really opening up on this road trip to San Antonio. Maggie and Perloff coming up. A record that will never be broken?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, big news yesterday, the Denver Broncos releasing Russell Wilson, and thus ends an unproductive and unsuccessful partnership that may go down as one of the worst trades of all time. But besides that, how was the play? You know, Perloff, Russell Wilson's legacy has certainly taken a hit with his 2 years in Denver. The question is how much, and did he completely derail what was a Hall of Fame career?
So we never remember the end. You know, no one, who cares what Emmitt Smith did as a Cardinal? Who cares what Jerry Rice did as a Seahawk? Joe Namath as a Ram? It's irrelevant. The only issue with Russ is that his end came a little sooner than we thought. Mm-hmm. You know, Emmitt was at the very end. I still think 5 years after he retires, which is when he becomes eligible on the Hall of Fame ballot, he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer because he has a ring. He has 9 Pro Bowls. He has one of the best TD to interception ratios or differentials in NFL history. Guy was always clean, was a great runner early in his career, was a great fourth quarter player, was really clutch. Even in the Super Bowl they lost to the Patriots, he was really clutch on that final drive until the Malcolm Butler interception. I just think there's so many positives with Russ, we'll forget these negatives at the end.
Well, listen, Russ is still out there saying, I can win 2 more Super Bowls. Like, that's my goal, is to win 2 more. This does not sound like somebody who's at the end. And listen, has he done enough? Yes, there have been other players who have never received an MVP vote who will also likely get in first ballot. Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning are 2. I didn't realize that Ben Roethlisberger had never gotten an MVP vote. They changed the voting process in 2022. So you do your top 5 candidates instead of just one candidate. So Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning never got them.
Yeah, but I mean, you're just talking about quarterbacks, because obviously every other position never got MVP votes.
Right. I'm talking about for quarterbacks. And so I don't think that's going to hurt him necessarily, but I do think what's happening now is going to hurt, because you're going to look back on the Seattle years and you're going to think a couple things. One, how much of this was Russ and how much was the Legion of Boom?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to look back and say, man, why were 2 maybe Hall of Fame coaches ready to move on from him after a while, which was Pete Carroll and now Sean Payton? You know, I don't think that Russ has like any character issues that we would think of in a natural way. I don't think that would keep him out. Does it keep him from first ballot though? It might. Just like not character issues would keep him out, but this second act just failed so spectacularly.
Well, I think the Pete Carroll thing, yes, Pete Carroll didn't want him at the end, but Russell Wilson made it very clear he didn't want to be there as well. Very, very clear.
Remember, he basically, if you believe the reports, tried to get them fired, whether it was Carroll or then, John Schneider or both.
Then he came on the Dan Patrick Show and said, I want out.
Right.
Because he was watching other teams.
I'd rather go to the Bears. We're like, what?
And then he just landed in the wrong spot in Denver. Honestly, I do think it was the wrong spot. I don't think it's Russell Wilson's fault what happened in Denver. I think there was so much going wrong. Nathaniel Hackett was the coach. A lot of guys around him got hurt. Their offensive line gets more holding calls than any in the history of the world. There was a lot going wrong. So we'll see. Maybe he gets at least a decent, even if he's a backup, I think we'll see Russ again, and I don't think it'll be as bad as Denver.
So the thing is, though, about the Russ and Denver, and yes, I'll agree with you. I think the Broncos organization right now is completely lost. I think this has been totally embarrassing for them. They keep digging the hole deeper and deeper with all of these mistakes they have to cover up for. However, and one of the mistakes was actually not just trading for Russ. Okay, maybe that's forgivable, but giving him $250 million was insane because the production had already started to slip. And while everyone was excited that Russell Wilson was changing teams, Perloff, because we saw Stafford change teams and win and Tom Brady change teams and win right away, I think we were kind of ignoring that Russ had started to slip already. And we blamed on, it was a finger injury, and that's
true.
And that's true. But the production was already starting to slip. And the fact of the matter is the Seahawks offense got better the year after he left with Geno Smith. So you can't just say, it was the pieces around him. So to me, I think there are a couple things that poke holes in Russ. Is it enough to keep him out of the Hall of Fame? I'll agree with you. No. Will he be a first ballot? I don't think so. And to be honest, I'm not sure what this third act has in store for Russ, because you don't exactly see suitors lining up here to break down the door for Russell Wilson.
Well, I take a little exception to that. The year before he hurt his finger, he had 40 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, and they were 12-4. So he was really good. That finger injury was a big deal. Remember the story? I think the next year was 2021. What was that? The last year he was there that he hurt his finger. He was waking up at 3 a.m. to rehab his
finger exercises.
Yeah. So I do think that injury really ended it. But also, yes, Geno did better than him. But I don't think you can really say that, because the year before that he was a legit MVP candidate. I think Russ's numbers after Legion of Boom carried them to that first Super Bowl, but then he had a lot of good years, and the guy rarely threw a lot of picks. He was a really clean quarterback, and he was a great runner. He wasn't just a good runner. He was a great runner early in his career, and I think you have to credit him for that, too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much to put on Russ. We're talking about first ballot Hall of Fame here, so, the bar is obviously as high as it can possibly be in the sport. The fact that you would have not made it to the conference championship game since 2014. I mean, there were a lot of years there where there wasn't much going on in terms of the playoffs. So I do think all of it plays in. And again, like, the bar can't be any higher than first ballot Hall of Fame. This is kind of for people who had almost perfect careers.
I think, Eli Manning made it to 2 conference title games, and he's probably going to get in. Phillip Rivers made it to 1. Did he make 2? He only made 1.
No, listen.
And he's going to get in. And listen, I think Russ's playoff record is fine. I know it went down, but he's certainly got enough success that he can put out on his resume.
He does, but, Eli Manning is a different calculus, right? whether you like that or not.
So Russell's a different calculus too. I mean, I think that quarterbacks are all going to get the benefit of the doubt, and they should. There's a reason they get the most money. They're the most important player.
Right.
I think Russ. The other thing, I do think some people think Russ is a bit of a robot or kind of fake, manicured. Remember there was that Sports Illustrated story when he was a young player, he drove around with 3 tuxedos in the back of his car just in case he was called on to be an impromptu speaker. I think he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I think all that will, sort of go away. He's 3rd all time in rushing yards for a quarterback in the history of the league. Vic 1, Cam 2, and Russell 3. That's a big number, too. I think people are discounting that. They forget because he looks so slow right now.
Well, that is a record that will fall very fast.
Well,
look at quarterbacks now. Anthony Richardson can probably do that in 5 years.
Well, Lamar Jackson actually might do it in his next game.
Yeah, exactly.
He's only 65 yards behind him, but that's still pretty good.
I don't think the staying power on that record might not be what you think.
But I think that counts.
I'm not denigrating him, but you mentioned about Russ being a little bit of a robot. I don't think it's that. I think it's like we're fine if guys are a bit robotic. I think you still see the Legion of Boom out there now blaming him and blaming Pete Carroll for why they weren't a dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, that's really turned out to be an illustrious group.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know if that's going to matter when it comes to voting. And again, quarterbacks get the benefit of the doubt a lot. So could Russ still be a first ballot Hall of Famer? I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that are sort of chipping away a little bit at his legacy.
I don't know. I think this Legion of Boom thing is really personal, and I understand it. But come on, the Legion of Boom, Earl Thomas has been a disaster. Richard Sherman's had its problems. And I think Sherman is really front and center. I think Sherman got a lot of clicks by saying Russ is bad and they keep doubling down on that. I think by the time he's up for the Hall of Fame, maybe all that will soften. Time heals all wounds.
Now, I do have one small prediction for Russ, and this could actually help his Hall of Fame case. And here's what it is. I think that Russ this year, Russell Wilson, who just got released yesterday by the Broncos, is going to be one of the last quarterbacks whose name we definitely recognize and know and would even have any kind of shred of expectation on him. I think he's probably going to be the last guy to sign. I think that all of free agency is going to happen. The draft is going to happen. So Kirk Cousins is going to sign. Baker Mayfield is going to sign. Justin Fields is going to get traded. The draft will happen. And then we might even wait a little bit longer. And then Russ is eventually going to sign. And because I think that way, because why? Like, that's the only way the timing on this can actually work out, right? Because if you're actually in the market for a quarterback like Russell Wilson, you're not just bringing him to be a backup. You're going to explore free agency first, then you're going to do the draft, and his is going to be like a minimum sort of salary. So I think it's going to be late that he signs.
One thing, what about Justin Fields, though? The thing about Russ, you don't have to trade anything, and you don't have to pay him anything. That is completely changed the calculus on Russ next year. So somebody gets a free quarterback. I'm looking at the Raiders. They might be very interested in him as a bridge. He's an attractive bridge. He costs nothing. There's no time left on him, and you don't have to give him a pick.
Okay, but to get a bridge, there's got to be somebody waiting on the other side of the bridge.
So draft someone.
Okay, but that's got to happen first. I don't think you bring in Russell Wilson. I would think you would draft someone first, and then you would go get Russell.
I'm not sure what the difference is. Say the Raiders are going to take Bo Nix at 13. Does it matter if they sign Russ first? They might want to sign him first just to make sure no one else gets him.
I don't know. I don't think the market's going to be that robust, quite frankly. So I think that he's going to sign late. And what I would say about Russ is that might be the best thing for him. And I'm not advocating that he needs to be like taken down a peg or anything like that. I just think that this has got to be a pretty humbling experience if he'll allow it to be. So if he actually sees like, wow, I'm not in this crazy high demand. Like, I'm Russell Wilson. Why isn't everyone lining up at my door to offer me all this money or to offer me this starting job or whatever? Maybe he looks at himself and is like, man, maybe I've got to do something different. Maybe I've got to change. We would say this about coaches who get fired. How are you looking at yourself internally? What are you doing to change? Even Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time. How are you going to change and adapt? And I think if Russ actually took that and was like, maybe there are things I need to do to change up how I either, come into like my play, coming across, whatever it is, he might have this massive chip on his shoulder that could be the best thing for him.
He didn't learn that 2 years ago when they had that disastrous season, but he sure came out a different player last year. He was much improved.
Well, I mean, maybe a little bit of a Sean Payton offense that helped a little bit there too. I don't know. But Listen, you get traded to a place, they give you $250 million. What I'm saying is I don't think Russ is pulling up at his next team buying a 20-room mansion. Like, I don't think he's going to come in, I'm the CEO, I need an office, I need my own trainers. Maybe it's a little bit of a different guy, and maybe that's the best thing that happens. Maybe his Hall of Fame career gets back on track because of that.
Yeah, see, I think he was, even with all that money, I think he was still a ridiculously hard worker. I mean, he is a manic worker. His hours are crazy. So I don't know that the mansion or no mansion, the fact that he's physically so much slower than he used to be is a big problem. I don't know. I mean, his numbers last year, he was pretty good. I think he was humbled by 2 years ago and kind of was all in last year, tried his best. I give him a little credit that Sean Payton kind of lost his mind on Russ on the sideline, and Russ just took it professionally.
Yep.
I think Russ has already displayed some humility to me. I'm not sure what the difference is. I think one of the big issues too is he a starter in a place like Vegas, or is he a pure backup? That to me is a more interesting question here. Like, is his ego so low? Does he learn such a message that he can be a backup to somebody, a young quarterback? Say, I don't know. Could he be a backup for Lamar in Baltimore? Could be a backup for Patrick Mahomes? Could he do that to try and win a ring? I mean, what are you talking about here?
I don't know. When he said, I want to win 2 rings, I was like, oh, he's going to be Mahomes' backup. That's the only surefire way you're getting 2 rings, even. That would be another thing for us. I don't know if he would want to sign, say with the Raiders, right? You brought up that example.
Yeah.
They draft a quarterback and he's the bridge. I don't know if he would sign before the draft because he probably wants to see, hey, am I going to be competing with a rookie where maybe the deck is stacked against me, where they're going to give the rookie confidence because he, quote unquote, beat out Russell Wilson for a starting job or something like that? He probably still wants to hold out hope he's going to go to a place that's going to hand him the starting job. And I just don't know where that is.
Yeah. I mean, this happened to my buddy Andy Dalton. He signed with, I think it was Chicago, and then they drafted Fields. He didn't, they put up the famous Instagram post, Andy Dalton QB1, and then they drafted somebody. So I'm not sure Russ has any choice here.
Yep.
Can he really say, hey, you know what? If you sign me, don't draft a quarterback? I don't think any team would do that.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So the future of Russell Wilson. Meanwhile, the Broncos should not get away unscathed here. I mean, they have run this thing right into the ground at an alarming pace. So,
it's actually been a steady crap show since 2015.
Yeah, actually, you're right. It hasn't been fast. It's like slow, and then all of a sudden you hit the iceberg.
Well, we had a big debate pre-show. What are the expectations? Are they going to kill the Broncos if they're a 5-win team this year? Or are they smart football fans who realize you have to rebuild at some point?
Okay, well, they might have to rebuild now, but that's not what you were selling Bronco fans a year ago.
Yeah, but what about now?
What about now? I think they're going to try to get a quarterback and sell that person and be like, and we've got the future.
Right, if you have a rookie quarterback, the fan base should be okay with 5 wins.
Yeah, but no, maybe, right? Maybe they'll be okay with 5 wins. I'm sure. Like
Carolina would have killed for 5 wins.
They'd be willing to overlook it. But why is Sean Payton there for $18 million a year if you're just going to be a bad team?
It's a tricky thing. But regardless of Sean Payton's contract, you have to rebuild. You can't just sort of plug holes here and there. They have to just start over. Don't you think everything they've done is wrong, as you rightly pointed out? They are going to have to go young and cheap at quarterback, because they have all this dead cap money. And I think fans should be patient. Sean Payton's got a 10-year deal, doesn't he? Have this long deal. Give him a little time.
Yeah, but see, I don't think he was preaching that when he came in. It was like, we're going to make the playoffs, and Nathaniel Hackett was responsible for all of this crap, and I'm here now, so let's onside kick and get this thing going in the right direction.
Who is their quarterback right
now? To change course like that is, you have to understand if the fan base is a little like, I feel like I got kind of sold a bill of goods here.
There's also a different level of hope you bring a fan base, and a different level of expectation if you trade up in this draft to get a quarterback. I don't think that whole, we could just go out there and lose 14 games. We just saw with Bryce Young, him go out there as the number 1 pick. They gave him no grace. He went out there, he looked terrible, the team was terrible, and we don't look at that and say, oh, well, you know what, it was just, they had the worst record, and who cares? Like,
because they gave up they gave up way too much. There's no way the Broncos are giving up a first-round pick. Are they going to give up? Do they have a first-round pick to give up?
They're getting in the top 5, they're getting up a first-round pick for sure.
If they do that for McCarthy, then they deserve all the heat. But if they give a first round to get in on the top 3 guys, it's not going to be Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels and Drake May. Are you guys still going to be against
the
that?
Panthers just did that last year. They just did it last year, and we kind of were like, oh, okay, let's see how that goes. And it went terribly. And now we keep saying David Tepper's the worst owner in the NFL.
Meanwhile, the Texans did the same thing. They could move up for Will Anderson, and it worked great.
Right.
Yeah, that got panned the day after for sure. But the
reason why the reason why people were saying that worked out great is not
Stroud.
because of Will Anderson.
Yeah.
It is because of C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, and also they made the playoffs the first year. Like that's
right. If they make that trade and Will Anderson has the season he has and they lose 12 games, are we talking about saying, "Oh, that was a great trade for Will Anderson"? No.
He was Rookie of the Year, wasn't he? I don't think it was. I think people are into Will Anderson.
No, that one worked out, but it really is the quarterback situation, right? It's like if you do trade up to get somebody, I think the expectation is, we're going to see at least flashes of that person year one.
But I think where the Broncos roster is right now, if you bring in a rookie quarterback, I think you're looking at 5 or 6 wins. And I understand you're paying Sean Payton all this money, but maybe Caleb Williams. There's no rookie who's going to come into this team and win in the AFC West. We're going to knock off the Chiefs with J.J. McCarthy. Come on, that's total fantasy.
Okay, but we're less than 18 months removed when they went all in on free agency.
Yeah, and it's screwed up. It did not work.
Again, they just keep digging this hole, and now they're going to have to expend more draft capital to get rid of it, or try to dig themselves out of it, rather. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, lots going on around here. We've got a crazy story we're going to bring you next. It's a feel-good story, but we've got questions about it. We'll do that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I think real men are not afraid to cry, Maggie. And I think that was proved yesterday. Welcome to Maggie and Perloff Show. Jason Kelce, longtime Philadelphia Eagle, future Hall of Famer, stood up at the podium and made a statement about what a real man does and does not do during a retirement press conference. And that dude was bawling.
He was
from
really
the
crying.
moment he got up there.
Yeah.
I mean, before we get to that real quick,
Yeah.
he was sleeveless.
Yep. Looked like
Did
he
he-
just came from a workout.
So if he came from a workout, he walked up. I was watching it on social media, and I thought, oh, yes, he came from a workout. He's coming back. We still have him going low on the tush push. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Turns out he was retiring, and it's purely on brand for Jason Kelce to be sleeveless in his retirement press conference and say all these amazing things about football and cry, and it was kind of wonderful.
I was wondering, because if real men aren't afraid to show their emotions and cry, which I think is a very healthy thing, did you shed a tear for Jason Kelce as a longtime Eagles
Oh man, I wish I could.
Couldn't
I wish
conjure it?
I couldn't do it. I heard some other media members with Philadelphia connections saying I cried for 3 hours.
Wow.
What?
Can I be real? I got a
Did
little
you?
misty.
Over what?
I have 3 younger brothers, so brothers like
The
just
brother
playing in the
stuff?
backyard, dream
Yeah.
big dreams. That was. And I'm the most cynical person about Jason Kelce. So the fact that he even got me says a lot.
Wow.
Okay, so here's one clip. Jason, let's play cut 12, please, Pete. This is, you mentioned about brothers, and the ultimate, sign of you've made it with your brother would be you're competing against each other in the Super Bowl.
I won't forget falling short to the Chiefs and the conflicted feeling of immense heartbreak I had selfishly. For myself and for my teammates. And at the same time, the amount of pride I had that my brother had climbed the mountaintop once again.
It's a lot of snot. It's a lot of snot.
Have you ever cried, Maggie?
EJ's getting choked up right now.
Maggie, have you ever cried?
Have I ever cried? Yes.
Yes.
Of course
That's
I
what
cried.
happens.
Do you have emotions, Maggie?
I mean, that's a fair question. Fair question. Have you guys ever seen Maggie even
No.
get anywhere near tears? I mean, you have enough Bills losses. Usually you get angry.
I get
You don't
mad.
get sad.
I've never cried over sports. I think I would cry tears of joy if the Bills won.
Yeah, I did that. That was cool.
I've never cried over them losing. I just get angry.
Has anyone ever gotten really emotional in another retirement? Like Michael Jordan or somebody that retired that upset you?
Nope.
No.
It's just, I'm sorry I don't mean to be cynical about Jason Kelce. It's just a lot of snot right into the microphone.
I mean,
We were all thinking it.
I don't remember David Wright's press conference, which he would have been the only guy I feel like that could have brought that out.
David Wright? Wow.
He's a great player.
No, I know.
Yeah. I mean, that's all we got.
I would not have predicted baseball. But one thing.
It's a lot.
I
right
said to
into
Maggie in the break that there is a $1 million bidding war for Jason Kelce. And I think you were a little surprised. I'm not sure you get the Jason Kelce brand completely. Snot into a microphone. It's perfect for a guy like that.
I guess. No.
You were critical when he...
I did not like how he behaved at the Bills game.
Yes, everybody else loves that.
Yeah, I know. And I know the Today Show was live tweeting his retirement, like it was actually Taylor up there. They love Kelce. People Magazine, sexiest man. They love his wife.
Yeah.
They can't get enough of Kelce.
I knew you cross over when my girlfriend Andrea walks in. She's like, Jason Kelce retired today. I'm like, you even know this information.
You know Jason
My
Kelce.
kids know who Jason Kelce is, and they don't know anything about sports.
Yeah, we'll play him the snot and see if they still like it. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, all-time great career. I kid. All-time great career. As far as media, though, first of all, why would he initially jump to one of the networks when he has literally the number one podcast right now in sports? So he can really take his time. And no offense to the studio shows, I love them. Boomer down the hall does an amazing job on CBS. The Fox one, you got to listen to for Jake Glazer's updates, all that. But are you really going to put Jason Kelce, a guy who's just taking shots out of a bowling ball in the parking lot of a Bills game, you're going to put him in a suit in a studio? That seems silly.
They just put Gronk in a studio in a suit.
And I don't think it works.
It's okay.
He's better than Gronk, though.
He's he's very smart. And Gronk's actually pretty smart, too. I don't think Gronk's a total disaster.
No, Gronk's better on Kay Adams' show, where he can just sort of freeform a little bit more. Those studio shows are great, but they're also it's timing. You have a lot of people who have to say things, and you just don't get any chance to move around and breathe.
I mean, I've never felt like I had to turn on Fox to watch Gronk.
I know. But I would predict Kelce, he'd be great for ESPN because they could use him in all different sorts of things. Give him a show like the Manning Brothers. Right. And there are a lot of outlets. And, it's different now. We have Amazon in the mix. We could have Apple in the mix. Jason Kelce will be fine. And I think I like your idea. I think you had this. Put him out on the tailgates. That'd be amazing.
I think. Yes. He's got to be with people, out in the crowd. I like it better than him just being another, listen, no offense. These are hard jobs to get. And you have to be really talented. But just to be up on a set, I feel like kind of ruins a little of what the magic of Jason Kelce
Put him on another network. Like put him on This Old House or something.
Oh, crossover.
Yeah, do something different with him.
Like a cooking show or something?
He could do anything. You put him on the news, put him on a cooking show.
Oh, you know what? He could be on sitcoms, when we were kids, Mike Ditka and those guys would all end up as a gym teacher on a sitcom.
Yeah, guy from Webster.
Golic.
Alex Karras.
Yeah.
He'd be
the
really
Golic
good.
brother who was on Saved by the Bell.
Right.
Yes.
Big Bob
Yeah,
Golic.
Bob.
Yes.
I like that idea.
It's a great idea.
And look, I mean, Jason Kelce is very likable outside of these, I think, recently corny moments with the brother and the jumping out the window. But he's a very likable guy. And they say in wrestling, you want to make a guy a heel, put him in a suit. You cannot put Jason Kelce in a suit.
Yeah.
Dude
just retired in a sleeveless
t-shirt.
Right, exactly.
I wouldn't worry about that. You're right. So we all agree we got to put him on the road or get him in something non-straight football.
No, I love your Pete, the combination. You guys just brainstormed a great one. Put him on a sitcom.
Yeah.
Saturday morning sitcom. Do they still do those?
Well, how about has Saved by the
Make one
Bell?
of those and
Saved by the Bell ever brought itself back together? They ever tried to reboot that?
They made a Peacock news Saved by the Bell that almost all of them were on or are on regularly. Yeah.
Did you see that Mark Paul Gosselaar turned 50 the other day?
So did Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Wow.
Leave me alone,
And
Maggie.
she does not look 50.
Well, she looks amazing. So does Mark Paul Gosselaar.
The new Saved by the Bell was canceled after 2 seasons.
Two episodes. All right, well, let's bring it back as a Jason Kelce vehicle. I think we get this greenlit, guys.
The new Mr. Belding is Jason Kelce?
Maybe he's the principal of the past.
He would be great in a Boy Meets World reboot. I know there was one, but do another one.
Another one just for Jason Kelce.
How about
Make him Mr. Feeney?
How about a Webster reboot?
Could do that. What was the premise of Webster?
God, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
So what's Alex Karras?
Was that it? So it was like Different Strokes?
Yeah.
Same type of thing? I don't remember Webster as much as Different Strokes.
I do remember Emmanuel Lewis showed up on Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis, who thought it was Daniel Day-Lewis and turned out to be Emmanuel Lewis. Emmanuel Lewis was hysterically funny. But yeah, Webster was a long time ago.
By the way, Bogusch is definitely mad at us, and for a couple reasons, and he might be right. Although We missed his birthday by a lot. It was February 25th.
Yeah, my next birthday is closer than my birthday.
In our defense, there were 3 people on the show who didn't know it was your birthday. But anyway, we missed your birthday, so 1 check mark against us. And now we're being cynical about Jason Kelce gave this really emotional press conference, and I'm like, that's a lot of snot.
No, I can nitpick too. I mean, put sleeves on. Blow your nose. I also read poorly. It was weird. It was 34 minutes too long. For
why
me.
can't he wear a suit?
Where was he reading from too? I was actually very curious
From
about
his phone. It looked like almost.
Yeah,
because I saw him pull out his phone when it started. He's like, okay, this is going to be hard, and I was like, is he notes apping this? Is this
wait until the wedding. Travis and Taylor. Imagine what that best man speech is going to sound like. It's probably going to go on for a year. How about Mr. Make It All About Me, Jason Kelce? Do you think he's going to have a shirt on?
No. See, you do not like Jason Kelce.
Yeah, no, I do like Jason Kelce.
You've said about 9 little digs about Jason Kelce in the last 5 minutes.
Guys, we're talking it through.
Well, why can't he put on a suit?
He's not turning.
He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy.
I think he's sticking to his brand. Maybe is the goal here. Be the center, the blood and guts of the team.
Come on, you can't put on a green tie and a black suit. I mean, everyone does it.
I will say this: it is a weird thing to have the tank top on, but then still have the Rolex on. I'm like, he has a gold Rolex watch on with the tank top. It's like you gotta ditch the watch if you're gonna go with the tank top look.
That's totally fair. Also, he should have done it in the Mummers costume. That's what made him super famous to begin with.
Yes.
Cry in that thing.
Travis was legitimately crying.
He was also crying.
Yeah. That got me. It was rough.
I think Kelce's are cool, down to earth people. I'm all in. I buy the brand.
Make him a real estate agent, put him on $1 million listing.
Only selling things in the Philadelphia suburbs.
A new season of Selling the Hamptons.
That's right. Below deck Mediterranean.
Yeah, he'd be a good bosun.
Oh, Jason Kelce on the sea.
Putting out the inflatable slide up the side of the boat.
He should be Jason Kelce's agent. He's thrown out $5 million ideas.
Jason Kelce on the sea.
Yes.
That's a funny way to put it.
All right, Jason Kelce. Kelce, Vegas.
Yes.
You got it, baby.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are they just going to go straight to the Manning brothers into a second screen where Travis and Jason watch the game together?
Well, Travis is still playing.
Yeah, but eventually. And if Travis doesn't even seem to care. He'd be like, he'd play at 1 and then be on TV at 5.
If this was Pete's thought, they would be doing a second screen, but for Caitlin Clark or something.
Jason should critique Eli and Peyton as they do the Manicast.
Wow.
That would be another good
third
channel.
screen.
Is that meta? If they were doing a show about the Mannings, doing a show at the NFL, is that meta? Is that how you use that word?
I'm sure.
Okay.
That I'd watch. The Mannings not so much anymore.
He shows up in an oval, and you can click on his sound, and he talks about the Mannings. That'd be great.
Eventually, and then you get somebody to comment on the Kelces, and it'd be like screen.
It's the Amon-Ra the St. Brown brothers.
We've lost all control of television. The St. Brown brothers would be great. The Diggses, Trayvon,
Stephon. They had to critique the St. Browns because they had the DBs.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we could really
Stephon might critique Josh Allen.
And you know where this all ends? With John and Jim Harbaugh just sitting on a boat.
Oh, no.
Actually, I don't know if that would be entertaining.
No, it wouldn't.
Field and Stream show.
Field and Stream. Headlines?
Sure. And to those who celebrate, happy franchise and transition tag deadline day. Chiefs corner L'Jarius Sneed.
Pete's been waiting for you to say that.
Franchise and flux day. That's tomorrow.
Chiefs corner L'Jarius Sneed got the second tag of the season yesterday, receiving the non-exclusive franchise tag, which allows him to continue negotiating with other teams, which Sneed will likely do. A trade out of KC apparently remains just as possible as him staying with the Chiefs. Colts wide out Michael Pittman, Ravens D-tackle Justin Madubuike, and Panthers pass rusher Brian Burns among those who could get tagged by the close of business. Lakers head coach Darvin Ham had a fun Monday night. His team roughed up the Thunder 116-104. Ham able to rest LeBron and Anthony Davis down the stretch, and he got some post-game candy.
Darvin, you guys have been able to hit defensive highs for 4 or 5 minute stretches. How encouraged were you with the fact that this was excuse me, sorry, 17 minutes in the first half.
You didn't bring any for me.
I actually have some if you'd like. I do have it. If you would like a lifesaver, I have a bunch actually. Here.
They're in the media room. Appreciate you.
I got you. It was a good one too.
I don't know which Laker media member that was, but he remembered his lesson from preschool. You have to bring enough for everybody.
Also, lifesavers are way down the list in the candy power rankings.
Oh, gummy lifesavers are really good, though.
But wouldn't you just go with a gummy bear or a gummy worm?
No, I think the gummy lifesavers are actually pretty top tier if you're going to get a gummy something.
I feel like Haribo really takes like the top 5 slots of gummies.
I'll be honest. I think Haribo gummy bears, I think, are overrated.
What?
Yeah.
Put them in the freezer. They're really good in the
freezer.
Yeah.
Now, what's the new thing everybody loves? Nerds gummy clusters. That seems to be the new.
That sounds good.
Cool thing.
You might as well just pour the sugar right down your throat.
Get a whole thing of Domino and put it right in your.
Just start snorting it at this point. What's the difference?
Do you guys remember? You guys might have missed this. It was a huge internet phenomenon. The Haribo Diet Gummy Bears comment thread.
Diet gummy bears.
I will read it to you. So they made these artificial diet gummy bears, and there was just 500 pages of comments about different creative ways to describe the violent diarrhea that these cause. It was a huge internet thing. I will share. You guys will laugh so hard. It's like that scene in Bridesmaids.
Oh my God. It's coming out like lava.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It's it's like sugar-free or something?
Sugar-free gummy bears.
Okay.
And there was a comment page. And somehow it was like an early Reddit thing. People got a hold of this and just filled the comment page with things about how much it upset their stomach. And it was, I'll read, I can't read it on air. It was so bad. But it became a huge thing in like 2009 or something like that.
I miss the early-ish internet.
Yeah, it was definitely early internet, and somehow, the public is always smarter than everyone else. They came up with the most creative things to describe what a diet gummy bear can do to your system.
Oh my goodness. Well, we've got some homework.
The Clippers wasted a 13-point third-quarter lead, losing in Milwaukee last night, 113-106, and they announced that Russell Westbrook is week-to-week following surgery for the broken hand he suffered Friday against Washington. The Braves say Ronald Acuna Jr. saw Dr. Neil Elitrosh last night. He confirmed right meniscus irritation only. Acuna Jr. will slowly ramp up his baseball activities, and the Braves expect him to be ready for opening day.
Of course he'll be ready for opening day. He'll play all 162 games.
And winning MVP, don't worry.
And we finish, Sweet Pete, with former NFL player Braylon Edwards, who last week was minding his own business at the Farmington Hills, Michigan YMCA.
Basically walking to the locker room after working out, I hear some noise about 4 rows behind me. Just over arguing about music, someone playing some music too loud, so I'm not paying attention. It's none of my business. The noise escalates, then you can start to hear some pushing and shoving. I mean, you know what fighting sounds like. Start to hear some tussling, start to hear some fists. But then once I heard a thud, that's what got me up. That's what got me to turn around.
So he turns around and he finds the source of the ruckus.
And I see the guy, I think he's reaching for a phone underneath the victim. He grabs the back of the victim's head by the hair, and he was about to slam it down on the counter. I grabbed him, subdued him.
Braylon, if you hadn't stepped in at that critical moment, this man could be killed. He could have been killed.
I didn't know it was that serious. I mean, I knew he probably had serious concussions and things of that nature, but it wasn't until I talked to Detective Jacobs down in Farmington that he told me that if I didn't step in. But at the end of the day, that's what you do. People go to work out, they have a good time, they live 80 years, and this isn't how they expect for something to maybe take their life.
Yeah, the dude getting beat up was 80. The guy doing it 25. He ran away from the scene, but he was arrested. He remains in custody. Not sure what charges he's facing, but thank God Braylon Edwards doesn't pay for a gym, and he goes to the YMCA, and he was there to help this guy.
YMCA fees of late, they're pretty steep.
Well, that was the first part of this is Braylon Edwards, like, amazing to step in, right? And a lot of people have this sort of mind my own business mentality, and you don't want to get up in someone else's thing. But Braylon Edwards stepped in, maybe saved some guy's life, which is crazy. The second thing was it interesting that Braylon Edwards was hanging out at the Y?
That's all I see.
Yeah.
That's all I get is why is he at the YMCA? Thank God he was.
I know. But also, like, I belong to the Y. I love the Y. It's great. Kids.
Right, for kids.
The facilities
are
super
lessons.
nice, and it's awesome to belong to the Y. But if I had millions and millions of dollars, I might bump it up.
Yeah.
maybe it's basketball, but you can get a great run at the Y. Imagine Braylon Edwards is incredible.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know if you can go to, what is a fancy gym? Equinox or something?
Equinox or
they don't
Life
have
Fitness
that.
or something?
Yeah, maybe that's my best reason. Or the pool. Not every gym has a pool.
No, most don't, I don't think.
Yeah, you need a pool at the Y.
Yeah, the Y is
But you're
very
saying
cool.
he should be able to have his own pool?
Well, I'm not saying he has to have his own pool. It's Michigan, so you'd need an indoor pool likely
Right.
if you wanted to go 12 months.
One thing I don't like about the Y pools, though, is that they make everybody wear the hair nets. Or not the hair nets, the hair caps.
The swim caps.
The swim caps, there you go.
Hair nets, that wouldn't really do much.
Yeah, that wouldn't affect much. I don't know. I was actually about to re-sign for my local YMCA, and I almost didn't when I saw that I needed to get a swim cap. I'm like, a swim cap? What? I'm 30 years old.
Okay, so let's play the game that you guys used to play at DP show. How much do you think Braylon Edwards has made in his career?
Guess that salary?
Guess that salary.
Ooh. She was a little bit before the huge paydays, but I'll go 57 to start.
I'll go.
Oh, no, 47.
I was going to go somewhere around there. I'll go 50.
Okay.
I'll go $1.
I'll go $2.
Damn it.
Oh,
Pete, you
cold.
savage. Now, he was a first-round pick in 2005, number 3 overall.
Ooh.
Braylon Edwards has made $33.6 million.
So Pete wins.
Yep.
Thank you.
I would have thought a little more. Also, again, enough to live, enough to go to Equinox.
Right.
But he was at the YMCA and he saved someone's life.
Because you go to the Lifetime gym here in Manhattan, you get to play NBA with the NBA players in the summer. That's where they all go and get their work in.
But I don't know what the membership.
It ain't the Y.
But it's fun to stay at the YMCA.
That's true.
Really
I want
quickly,
to sneak into that gym, by the way, to see like LeBron running with Carmelo.
I was a Lifetime member, and you paid extra to go into that one, so I went one time hoping to see an NBA player, and I was the player on the court.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to make that highlight reel. That needs to be a bit on the show.
man. So we were actually playing this game earlier in the show with someone else. I know we've got to get to a break here, but so Buddy Hield had all the 76ers come to his house in Dallas to hold a practice. And the video came out, and his place looks
amazing.
Sweet.
That's my dream house.
Okay, so Buddy Hield, another first-round pick, 6th overall. How much money do you think Buddy Hield has made in his career? Guess that salary.
$145.
$160.
$2.
$3.
$104 million.
Yes! Oh, man.
Braylon Edwards should be like, if I'm playing basketball at the Y, I probably should have just switched to basketball when I was like a teenager.
Yeah, he should have joined the Y when he was a little younger.
Start working on that J.
He's probably amazing at basketball. I just got to
say. He is. Like, I think I've seen him play. I think he is really good.
Also, nice guy. I mean,
yeah, now he's a hero.
Stepping in. Good Samaritan.
Pretty sure Pete grunted when I mentioned his name at the beginning.
Well, the Jets time.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he was okay as a Jet. I thought he wasn't bad.
He was on the two
championship teams.
The two playoff
AFC
runs, right? Yeah.
Could have been better.
He had
high draft
a touchdown in the game against the Colts.
I think Kellen Winslow kind of lowered the bar for Jets high draft picks. Sorry to change that.
That's more of Browns issue than us, but he did end his career there.
Yeah. Anyway, Braylon Edwards, what a hero. Coming up, one team is looking to trade up in the draft. Bogusch, thank you so much. We blew it with you today a little bit. We'll get you back soon. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Lot going on.
Yeah. So we mentioned earlier in 2014 there was a brief internet phenomenon. Sugarless Haribo gummy bears came out on Amazon, and people got a hold of the reviews and left some interesting things. Now I am not comfortable reading these on air. I think they're maybe a little too adult, but Andrew Bogusch is completely comfortable.
Yeah.
The game is, can we make Maggie laugh with any of these reviews from Haribo sugarless gummy bears and what their effect was on customers? You want to hit us with some, Bogusch?
And stand by, Pete, with that dump button. Pun intended. This review entitled, Just Don't Unless It's a Gift for Someone You Hate. What came out of me felt like someone tried to funnel Niagara Falls through a coffee straw. I swear my blank was screaming. It felt like my other blank was a gaping maw projectile vomiting a torrential flood of toxic waste. 100% liquid. Flammable liquid. Napalm.
Sugarless gummy bears.
This one's called Yep, Believe the Hype. Long story about buying them from my coworkers. Everybody tried them. Best moment of the day was when one of them, who had been in the bathroom for half an hour by that point, texted one of the others, quote, "If you think that's a fart, it's not." The cramping started about an hour later, and soon enough, I was as bloated as a balloon in Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. When the rumbling started, I sprinted down the hallway and made it to the bathroom just in time for the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse to stampede from my backside, laying waste to my home septic system and my will to live. After 3 hours of a pelvis-shaking gummy bear assault, I was spongy and weak, surprised that I had any bones left. I cursed Haribo with the little strength I could muster.
Wait a minute. So back to all the coworkers took them? Like, what is a dare?
Yeah.
It's not like eating a plate of hot wings.
So cue March. Fast forward to then. Late March, you guys are doing that on the show as a bet.
God.
I was glued to the toilet seat. Streams of fire burst from my colon. When I wasn't experiencing Satan's fury exploding from my rear, I was laying in the fetal position on my bathroom floor, sobbing and asking for forgiveness. I'm a 280-pound man. I was sobbing.
Okay.
And scene.
Okay, obviously these are all fake.
No.
And
Haribo sugarless gummies.
And by the way, I have Haribo products as my top 5 candies. They occupy all 5 spots. Just
Really? Even the
gummy
ones
bears.
that cause gastrointestinal Armageddon, as one reviewer called it?
That's how I reach my goal weight. Just kidding.
Eat all I want Monday through Friday. Weekends, Haribo cleanse.
I love that we got from someone offering a lifesaver to Darvin Ham to gastrointestinal Armageddon.
I forgot how this started.
Next time, have a piece of gum.
Absolutely.
Just end this madness.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Again, I love Haribo products and I eat them proudly. Gummy bears, gummy worms, the frog things.
They make peach rings. Those are good too.
Oh, I love the peach
But you
ring.
got to have full strength. That's the moral of this story. There's no diet candy. Just have candy.
Just go. Full sugar. And live to tell about
Right.
it.
Die slowly, not immediately for your candy.
Enjoy yourself at least.
Experience Satan's fury.
Also, the name of our new podcast. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to People Perloff's going to lose it. Andrew Bogusch. Happy belated birthday.
No thanks. Here's some candy.
You know what we're getting you. Andrew Kaplan.
You're in a 5-minute break.